Greetings humanity, and welcome to Channel Otherdoc. I am Jim, I use he, him pronouns, and this is the second premiere of our campaign of Don't Rest Your Head, a game by Fred Hicks of Evil Hat Productions. This is a supernatural horror game in which nightmares come to life to plague the Insomniac PCs who are hoping to avoid them. This is the Friday group. This is for Story Omega, as I'm calling it right now. We are. I'm very excited to get us started here. We're gonna do some bits, some world buildy things and character buildy things, and just sort of talk about the game in general that we're going to be getting ready to do. You know what? I also completely forgot to remind folks, but that I was going to ask folks to pick a piece of supernatural horror media that they like. If I don't know if you folks might recall, but if there's since I utterly neglected to say anything up until this second, I'm going to make it even more vague than that when we go around and introduce everyone. You can tell us anything that you happen to like or you find interesting about this genre. So feel free to say who you are, briefly who you're going to be playing, and that just anything you happen to like about supernatural horror. And we're going to start with this is almost all new faces on the channel, and we're very happy to get into this and introduce them. We are starting with Krimsin. Hello.
Hey y'all, I'm Crimson Galaxy. That's Krimsin, because I'm not me without a little bit of sin. My pronouns are they, them, she, and they, and today I'm gonna be playing Katrina Wales, a homeless musician who just awoken the power of energy manipulation. As for a piece of so my thing about supernatural horror is that it is usually super laden with metaphor if you dig beneath the surface of what what it is. Like zombies are all about being unsafe in a society when everyone's trying to hurt you, right? Vampires are about I don't want to get too much into this, but I've thought about all of the horror archetypes and the story beneath the story that's typically depicted, and honestly, just the idea of monsters that are trying to stay alive, or trying to stay alive when you view everyone around you as monsters. That is what I love about horror.
Awesome. Yeah, no, absolutely. And now let us head over to Ace. Hello.
Hello, I'm Ace. I use any pronouns, and I'll be playing Cal, who uses they, them pronouns. And for Cal, I have a vague idea for what I want them to be, but I'm hoping to flesh them out more today.
Mm-hmm.
And for the pieces of horror I like my supernatural horror, but the parts I like best is that it also mixes in my other two favorite genres of psychological and surreal horror, because supernatural horror, things that you expect to be real can turn out to suddenly be a creature, and you don't know what's real and what's not anymore. And I just love that.
Yeah, and this game in particular also does tend to blur the lines between a lot of those. So that's we're right there. We're right there on this. And now let us head over to Shade. Hello.
Hello. I'm Shade. I don't have that much experience of playing role-playing games, but I love it. I'll be playing Tyler. He's an ex-banker, and right now he's sort of in a tough spot in his life. He doesn't have his job anymore. He just kind of lost his best friend and his girlfriend, and that kind of led him to a deep existential crisis, which he envisions as a black hole, which sort of slowly sucking in the whole universe, and probably him as well eventually. And yeah, so for him, all this supernatural, this is his image, I guess, of supernatural, which is not very nice. It's just sucking everything inside like a big black hole somewhere. For horror games, yeah, I like horror genre. I really like suspense when nothing happened just yet, but everyone knows that it is going to happen right now or at some point, and it just gives you, I don't know, like it gives you this special feel. One of my favorite horror games is Silent Hill. I just love it. And yeah, I guess that's it.
Yeah. No, it's also one of the reasons why I appreciate suspense thrillers. Just even ones with absent of horror. I actually kind of like suspense thrillers even more, just because it's like the it's just everything within what a person has got going on in their heads, and it's really cool. And finally, let us head over to Cassa. Hello.
I'm Cassa, Wilding _ on Twitter, and I really like playing TTRPG. I've played with Jim before, and we did like a space noir investigator thing, and it was really fun. And yeah, Jim's great. So I'm here again, and playing Tamsin Zhao, who's like an immigrant kid who tried really hard in school and burnt out, and now she's in a kind of dead-end job that she wants to fulfill, like that is to fulfill her goals. But yeah, we just how she progresses and how she develops. And in terms of suspense and horror, everyone said like a really good answer, and I would like also say those things. But to make it different, I guess the music is pretty cool. Like I just like listening to like suspenseful music, and sometimes it just gets your blood flowing. And if you have like a bad day, you just watch something and you completely forget about it and think about something else. So yeah, that's me.
No, there's some awesome composers that have done stuff in that realm. So it's really really neat. Something I love doing also. every year around this time of year, I start watching silent movies, and I go hunting on YouTube for like different soundtracks that folks have come up with for them. I mean, and you go all the. I mean, you have the sort of the traditional orchestral stuff, but then you have folks who've just put stuff together on their computer. You have folks who you have punk bands who have done soundtracks for silent films. There's some friends of mine in a chamber metal band have put together do this annual thing they do with they play Nosferatu on a screen and stand there with the electric bass and just playing out for the whole film, and it's wonderful. But as for me, I always think to ask other folks the question, but I always forget to think of what my answer is going to be. So let's see, for supernatural horror, and I can't even remember what I said on Monday. I probably, knowing me, I probably said silent films. I think that just in general, something that I do enjoy about supernatural horror is the idea, especially when it does get into the psychological aspect, when there is one person, at least, who has noticed something that is horribly wrong with their environment, the world, anything, and it turns out that they're right. And that kind of narrative is just one of the most fascinating ones for me when I see that. Whenever I see something, anything start out, it's very simple, but it's also very cool, I think. So just as a reminder, like we do with the other games on this channel, we're going to be using the X card, the N card, and the O card. If we hit something that's crossing a line for one of us, any of us can type an X in the Zoom video chat or anywhere else, or like hold up a card or make an X symbol, and we'll back up and we'll do something else. If something happens that we're okay having in the game, but we don't want a graphic description of it, we can type an N in the Zoom chat, and we'll fade to black on it or put it behind a veil, so it'll be there, but we won't go into detail. Finally, if we're exploring a topic or an area of roleplay that's particularly intense for us, but we want to keep going anyway, we can put an O in the chat to let us know that we're okay and that we're all good to keep piling on the drama. Something else we can do is put an O with a question mark after it when we're moving into a difficult topic, or if we say or we do something and then think, maybe that might have been a little too much. Then everyone else can respond to that, again with an X, an N, or an O, to let us know if we're all still doing okay. We're also using the pause. If any of us needs to take some time, we can ask for a pause in the game while we discuss things, or just take a break for as long as anybody needs. Now, as a reminder, just a few content warnings. This game has the potential for discussions of physical and mental debilitation, insomnia, death, law enforcement, nightmares, body horror, being stalked and chased by supernatural beings, and other horrific themes. This game has mechanics related to states arising from sleep deprivation, referred to in-game as exhaustion, madness, scars, and fight-or-flight responses, but places the expression of those states squarely in the hands of the players. You can see that content warning in chat if you type !DRYH, that's Don't Rest Your Head, CW, and that'll play that out. That's also going to show up periodically on rotation. Let me make sure I put it on a timer. I'm going to put that on a timer right now. DRYHCW, there we go. So that will show up periodically as we in chat as we go. Also, please remember that we have an open door policy, which means any of us and any of you can feel free to step away from this at any time if we need to. It's just a game, and mental health is always more important. So, let us dig into this. This, again, as I said, is the session 0 for this group. We saw the Monday session 0. This group's going to have its own. Each of these two groups is going to have their own story arc. Their own story arcs. There may be some crossover that happens depending on life timing schedules and all manner of things, both in character and out of character, and happening the way that life does. They will happen in some cases semi-randomly, in some cases planned. So we will see how all of that goes. But let's dig into this. We're going to go around and we're going to get into a little bit more discussion about our individual characters. We kind of got little intros to the characters during our own intros, but we're now going to. I'm going to just ask folks to describe their characters in a little more detail. We're going to start with general descriptions, and then after that, after we go around once, we're going to start answering the character questions, the questions that are at the beginning of Don't Rest Your Head character creation. It's this game, by the way, and its use of character questions that kind of clued me into doing that in like virtually all my session zeros, coming up with sort of questions or things to sort of get prompts from the players about, at the very least. And so that's been very helpful for that. This was one of the earliest games to do that, I think, in this way. I mean, Amber Diceless beats it out by, like, almost a decade. But as far as character questions go, but that was an optional thing in that game. In this game, it's baked in. And I appreciate that. So, we're going to start, once again, we're going to go in our usual order, and we're going to start with Krimsin for Katrina. And in the meantime, I'm going to be trying to take some notes and possibly failing at taking notes. We'll see how it goes. But for Katrina, what's been keeping you? Well, actually, no. I'm sorry. I jumped ahead. You see, this happens sometimes. Actually, before we ask that question, first of all, Krimsin, tell us a little bit more about Katrina, just in general, if you would.
Okay. Well, Katrina is she used to have a really good job. And then she decided to come out as trans. And while she was able to keep the job for a little while, her coworkers slowly made the space less and less accommodating and more hostile. And it kind of drove her out of that work. And then she tried to spend some time finding more work, and it just never really accumulated. So she wound up homeless, playing her guitar and just trying to survive. something like that.
Yeah. Something else also I'll mention is that as we're asking questions, as I'm asking the character questions as we get into it, everyone can participate in this as well. If they have more questions about each individual character, then they can also feel free to jump in. So let's hear a little bit about Cal.
So Cal is just a person who is just around, doesn't really talk about their job and such that much. They are 5'8", Caucasian, with dark hair, and always wears a jacket, and they're always fiddling with tarot cards. If you ever ask them they're spiritual, they'll say no, they just like how the cards feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't really had much more than that fleshed out just yet. I'm hoping to flesh out more their character as I play.
All right. Absolutely valid. Let's go over to we're going to go over to Shade. Tell us a little bit more about Tyler.
Tyler, so he used to have a pretty good prestigious banking job, like a job that he was kind of always wanted to get, and eventually he got it. He got his financial success, but it just didn't click with him. So stuff that he was doing was pretty mindless, and he wanted to do something which actually makes some difference. So eventually he left with one of his colleagues, also best friends, to start his own business. And so that was a time of adventure. He was finally doing something which kind of made sense to him, was making him to feel fulfilled. However, it was a bumpy road. It's not as easy or certain as having a job in a well-established bank. So he ran into some difficulties. It wasn't easy. The business wasn't getting as successful, and wasn't starting as quickly as he wanted to. His friend eventually he decided to get back to his previous banking job. Tyler decided to stay, and then he had a fallout with his girlfriend, and right now he's kind of alone, trying to make things work. But it's getting a little bit lonely and depressing for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and finally, Cassa, tell us a little bit more about Tamsin.
Yeah, so Tamsin is like a 5'4" Asian, Chinese girl. So she's got short hair, and it's dyed in 2 different colors because she was trying to be rebellious. And she moved out of the small town that she lived in with her parents into the city to make it as a journalist. But during school, she just did a lot of drugs, and now she's kind of, like I said, burnt out and kind of taken the consequences of her previous choices. So yeah, she smokes a lot, probably too much. And so she's just trying to work, and she stays up late because she gets all the work from her boss, who doesn't really like her because the stuff she does is quite good, but it makes the boss undermined if she lets her do more stuff. So she just does all the small little things, but she stays up and tries to get to the scene of whatever crime happens as quickly as possible. So she sees a lot of human things, and it makes her pessimistic about people. So she doesn't really talk about her past or anything.
Yeah. All right, cool. Very cool. Okay, so now we're going to go around and we're going to talk specifically in the context of the character. I'm sorry.
Nothing.
Oh no! It's at that. It is awesome. It is awesome. So we're going to go around and we're going to talk specifically in the context of the character questions now about these. We've already heard some pieces of these of some of the different questions, but we're going to go through and just make sure we've got good answers on here, thorough answers here. So for Katrina, the first question is what's been keeping you awake? The source of your insomnia.
Well, she started losing sleep after she lost her housing, never really finding anywhere comfortable to sleep, having to learn to sleep incredibly lately, if at all. And she slowly realized after a few nights of no sleep that she could feel energy coming off of everything. Like every rock, every pole, every person, every street light, all had their own unique energy that emanated off of it. And honestly, she realized that she could affect these energies while playing her guitar, because she decided to pick it up again when she went homeless and stuff, and has just been playing pretty much nonstop, trying to make enough money to get food and everything just to be able to survive. So yeah, then after she realized that she could actually like feel the shifting energy as she sat and or played, she just started downing coffee at first to try to stay awake as long as possible, moved on to harder drugs after that, just like whatever can keep her awake to let her be able to hold on to this feeling. Whatever feeling she can hold on to just like make it easier to survive life on the street. And that's what's keeping her awake.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's that's actually that's very good, very thorough. I don't actually have anything to follow up with right now, but I may think of some things later with respect to that. But that's very clear, very clear. So for Cal, what has been keeping you awake? Remind us.
Now you're making me look bad because, like I said, I haven't fleshed mine out as much.
Well, and we can talk that out too if you want to. We can sort of hammer it out.
For me, I honestly was just sitting there after our first meetup, just thinking about all of the everything. I had looked at all of the questions and sub questions inside the character creation, then just sat with it for like 2 or 3 days, thinking about it. And then I just sat down to type and was typing for like freaking 2 hours. So
For Cal, what keeps them awake is that ever since they were a child, they've always had insomnia, and it just gotten worse and worse as they grew up, leaving them unable to sleep for some days at a time. But it suddenly got worse when their best friend died in their arms, and then the weight and guilt and everything that's happened around that makes it even harder to sleep.
Okay. So, I feel like some of this is going to fall under one of the later questions, probably the what just happened to you. But you want to tell us a little bit? Okay. You want to just tell us sort of in general at this point what your friend died from?
Well, I honestly did not think that through because I felt like it would be something that would work well if anyone has an idea to add it in the game to have more tension or something.
Ooh. Well, this could end up being a shared NPC. We could absolutely have that happen. The friend could have been someone else also has a connection to. And so do you want the death to be quite recent, or is this something that happened a little while ago?
I feel like recent would have more impact, but either way is fine depending on how anyone wants to play it with me.
Okay. So I think what we might want to do is, because what just happened to you is going to be the next question. Maybe we can just cycle through the rest of what's been keeping everyone else awake. Start in on the next question, what just happened to you, and when we come back around to you, we'll workshop it a little bit.
All right.
How does that sound? Does that sound good?
That sounds perfect.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I figure as we start to sort of slide into these, starting to figure out things about the characters, we can start working on it. And like I said, these are all works in progress. You know, this whole thing, this conversation, this piece of fiction that we are building as we talk. So I mean, we can always slap additional pieces on it as we go. But let's go around then and head over once again to Shade for Tyler. What has been keeping you awake? I think you talked about it a little bit, but let's get into it.
It's just stress was getting to Tyler, really. It kind of started maybe half a year ago when it kind of got obvious that it won't be such an easy road of making these things work out. And it was getting worse and worse. And when he broke like two most important connections in his life, well, this is when where he really got this insomnia. He was just it was like all these thoughts about whether he did the right thing, what to do now, just running in circles in the head whenever he hit the bed trying to sleep. Maybe I was thinking maybe to add also, so when it got really real bad, maybe he got a sort of a nightmare dream with this black hole which is like sucking everything inside of it, which got him like so scared that he instantly he's just awakened, and after that he really didn't want to sleep anymore.
Okay. Okay. No, that's yeah. That's definitely going to keep you. That's definitely going to keep you up. Let me just ask, just so that I can be clear on it. What was the nature of the business that you're trying to maintain?
He and his best friend, they had an idea about like making a startup. And to be honest, I'm still thinking about this, what it could be. Like it could be something probably not really related to finance because, well, he's just tired of the whole thing. Maybe, I don't know, maybe something related to like a music, one of his kind of like a semi-hobby. He just likes listening to music, he likes singing out of tune, like especially after he drank a little bit of Irish coffee. So that could be something to either connect musicians or to find you maybe like something that helps you to find music with a similar mood or like with a certain like similar lyrics, because there are lots of recommendation systems about the music which helps you to find like similar tracks.
Yeah.
But Tyler could, there's always some space to expand.
There's a lot that can be done with that. And also in the back of my head, I'm thinking about things that have happened in previous Don't Rest Your Head campaigns that are also delightful and can be plugged in here when needed. Yeah. So are you taking? Is Tyler taking anything? He was a banker, right? You said is that right, or am I?
He was a banker, yeah.
Okay. And do you want it to have any? And you say you don't necessarily want it to have anything to do directly with that. Maybe he's handling some of the financial end of the business, which is probably why it's still a thing being attempted in one way.
Yeah.
If that's the. So was your friend more the creative side of the business then? Do you think is that kind of how it played out, or did you both contribute to that equally?
I think we kind of both contributed to it equally. So we just brainstormed this idea, like what will we do? So I like singing to the music. He likes music in general, and we really didn't want to do something different, like maybe creative or just helping people, like any project that would actually help any real people.
Yeah.
And what we do, so we both kind of know how to program, how to code things, and this is a software engineering project overall.
Yeah.
Tyler is, well, he's good at, kind of good. He's okay with making connections with clients. He can find investors or just basically connect to right people to make this come true. So either investor money or other platforms. So this thing is kind of connected to other, like maybe social networks, or any other existing platforms.
So is this kind of a so just is sort of an you're working kind of, I guess, an app of some kind to help identify more indie bands, that kind of thing? Is that sort of what I'm getting here, or is it more of a or am I wandering down the wrong trouser leg here?
That's actually, this is sort of a thing that can be, this is an app or a website, so the idea is to ship it on all available platforms. And this is a thing which could, let's say, let's just say it would help like other, so I mean, there are two ways to do it. It's either an app for musicians or maybe just music enthusiasts to connect with each other, to find like other members like for the band, and maybe also later to also find a place where to make the music. And the other possibility would be just an app for a general audience to find tunes which have a similar, let's say, meaning. So kind of a similar music, but based on lyrics rather than just beats, rather than just on genre. So right now there are lots of apps that helps you to find similar music, but it's usually, you like blues? Okay, so here's blues for you. And then maybe you like blues, but you like this particular song, which is about, I don't know, sunshine in the morning and like wind and sunshine, and it will find you other music which has similar lyrics to that. So there are two possibilities. I know that could work. I'm not sure which of them would be a successful project, which is maybe Tyler had so many difficulties on starting it.
Yeah, it might be he's got these two possible branches, and it's this idea of, well, we can't make it do everything, but you're trying to make it do everything. So that might be where the problem lies. That could be. I will tell you, just on hearing both of those ideas, I think they both sound good. But the second one sounds really interesting, a little more interesting to me, just because of just like as an app that would be cool to exist in the real world, which as something, because you're right, you're absolutely right. They a lot of the music comparison apps don't focus on the meaning or intent behind behind the lyrics, that kind of thing, and so. But you'd also need probably for that artists to contribute to it, so that they can kind of explain a little bit in sort of the context of, this is what this song is about. This is what I'm trying to get across, that kind of thing. So you've got both lyrics and the sort of ideas in there.
My whole thing with that is that, like, art is so subjective and can mean so many things to so many different people. So a song that has one meaning for someone could have a completely different meaning for someone else. So I'm not exactly sure how you would build this platform without also like including like some really invasive like questions just to join the app about like what music makes you feel. And like, I don't know, that's interesting, but I also feel like it would be really hard.
So they're pretty cool, like in like machine learning, there's natural language processing. They're pretty cool like technologies which allow you to kind of extract meaning from the text, or for example, extract like the main themes of any text. So Tyler could be like, trying to use this technology to apply it to song to lyrics, but I can totally see that some people to whom he was trying to just, sell this idea would be like, you can't really do that. That doesn't really make sense.
I
So
mean,
that would
all
actually,
I'm saying
yeah.
all I'm saying is that there was literally a conservative politician just a few months ago who thought the song "We're Not Gonna Take It" by Twisted Sister was supposed to be upholding conservative values.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that happens, but that
it definitely does. Oh, it absolutely does. And that's also the interesting thing that I find interesting about that also story-wise is that it is so difficult. Because then
this is what I was saying. Yeah, exactly. It's a difficult project. It's not obvious, and it could get a lot of doubt as well. I think it kind of fits well.
Yeah. So, do you know if that's the one you want to do, or if you want to do the other the matching thing, or
I'm cool with this thing. If everyone thinks that it's all right,
it sounds good to me.
I think it's great for the storytelling, and I feel like my character is going to be like, "What? That makes no sense."
Yeah.
But I think that the story we could tell with that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also and then there are also other elements that we get to bring into play as a result of something like this. But that will be for later. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting.
I love that sound.
But now we're going to head again over to Cassa, and we'll ask again, just in a little more detail, what's been keeping you awake for Tamsin.
So Tamsin is keeping herself awake. She is trying to make it in her work, so she's going above and beyond and overworking herself. So she's just using any chemical enhancement to stay awake. And then also in terms of work, she's trying to be a news journalist, so she goes to crime scenes, and recently she might have seen something that keeps her up. So instead of being able to sleep, she sees all these scary things, and that's what I got so far.
Let me ask if so you say she's trying to go above and beyond. Do you actually was Tamsin actually assigned a crime beat, or is she just taking it on herself to just sort of develop one as an extra thing to try to get more stories?
Yeah, she hasn't been given any. She's not been assigned any of these, but she'll hear it from someone, or she's something like that.
Yeah, you go chasing these other stories, and so so what is your editor normally stuff? Does your editor normally assign you to do? Is it like crime related, or is it just like something mundane, like a people column or something like that?
No, I think it would be crime related. I think that's how her mindset about people has changed.
Okay.
Because she sees so much crime all the time. Yeah. So break-ins or robberies and stuff like that.
Okay. Cassa is frozen, but we can still hear her. I believe. Everything okay over there? Yeah. I mean, it'll
exhale.
Yeah, we can still hear you, so I mean, it'll probably sort itself, or you'll get kicked out and have to leap back in. That's fine either way. But can you still hear us okay? Hello.
Oh.
My internet went out. Sorry.
No. Curses.
Okay, but I'm back.
Awesome. All right. So yes, no, we talked about Yeah, I think we that was cool. That was cool figuring that out. You're sort of trying to go above and beyond and actually sort of develop your own crime beat to try to bring in as many stories as you can. Whereas they
I
probably
think it's kind of like an Asian parent thing. Like usually,
Ooh.
I mean, personally, I've been told that I should do things before people ask for them. So it's just like something that's been ingrained, I guess, which is, I don't know if it's bad or good, but it keeps her up.
Understandable. Awesome. Okay. So we're going to now we're going to leap to the next question, which so we can start digging into some things. So the next question is what for everyone is going to be what just happened to you, and now the way that I have to give my disclaimer here about what just happened to you because the way it is written is not entirely the way that I use it. Just so you're aware. Because when you play when you run enough of these games, you realize that you want to be able to do different things with it. How you're set up for it. So what this is, what I usually interpret it as, it's not necessarily what just happened to you, but it's something that happened quite recently. It's this point that you hit very recently, after which things were different. You were already, prior to this point, suffering from insomnia. You were probably already also, possibly even, seeing supernatural stuff prior to this point, maybe. But after this point, things got even weirder. Is kind of the what I'm saying, and this happened very recently. And it can be a different thing from what's been keeping you awake. Or it can be tied into it. It can be the same. But sort of after a thing, and the thing that happened is usually something exciting and stressful. The exciting and stressful thing, if you like, can be supernatural, or it can just be a mundane thing that happened to you. I've had it be more regular, regular every day. Car crashes, things of that nature have been sort of the type of thing. So I mean, it can be a thing happening in the real world, as it were. But it's after that. After that, it's sort of kind of pushed you further into this mental state where you're like suddenly realizing, hey, I can. I'm much more in tune with this now. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Who knows? So we're going to start again with Katrina. For Katrina, what has just happened to you?
Well, I don't know how familiar you are, but to a homeless trans person, life in general can be a nightmare. It doesn't take a nightmare to make the world feel hostile and foreign. And I think what just happened to her is legitimately like she saw dark energy swirling around two real life people who then approached her and tried to start harassing her. And at that point, she could just feel the darkness coming off of them. And she lashed out. Like there was an explosion of energy that came off of her that like dispelled whatever nightmares were gripping onto these two unsuspecting mortals. And then they just immediately took off running after the energy got dispelled away from them. And like at that point, she is now like freaking out, thinking like, how is this possible? How does this happen? Am I really like some sort of goddess reborn into this world or something?
Excellent. No, perfect. No, that's good. That's really good. You see, and we'll get into more of the specifics about how the powers work as we go a little further. but I am liking this. I'm liking this a lot so far. So now we will come back around to Cal. And if you have any thoughts about this, that you'd like to share,
Well, I think
what
we
just happened to
already
you?
heard part of it.
Yeah, we heard part of it.
Yeah, part. So, as I said before, their best friend died, and when their best friend died, they seemed to get what to some people might feel like paranoia, but they can perceive more. They've noticed that they can see more things that people don't tend to notice, including these weird shadows, which, as less and less sleep they got, seemed to become more and more physical.
Interesting. Okay. So let me see. How do I phrase this here? The death happening was probably, just kind of obviously this sort of traumatic event happened right in front of you. And did that cause the shadow activity to intensify?
Yeah, I feel like that honestly caused them to notice more, because with the death happened, it happened at a very stressful time and with many circumstances that we can or can't get in later, that would just make it even more stressful and cause them to look out more. And even when they relaxed a bit, just like 1 or 2 days later, be like, okay, say for now, they still notice that intensified perception was still up there.
Yeah. Something that I think we
And
can talk
they saw
about.
the shadows like
Sorry, go
that.
ahead.
Oh, just adding, yeah, and with the intensified perception, that's when they saw the shadows and they became more real, to become just leaning into what the nightmares are now and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Something that I think we can discuss a little bit. As I remember, you had just said a little bit ago that we might want to sort of figure out a little bit about the death. We can determine some of the the specific stuff about the situation kind of as we go, and kind of sort of it'll come as more details come out, probably through the game itself, potentially. But what I was thinking is the do you want help figuring out the way in the thing your friend died of, or are you or are we good with that right now?
I'm fine with either. If you have any specific ideas, then shut up now. But I'm honestly good with it coming out piece by piece within the story.
I was just thinking, if I may, I would kind of know about the death in some way. Maybe
Ooh,
that
yeah.
could be a connection.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I was thinking
I don't know what it is,
when
but
you explain to yourself what's keeping you awake. I was thinking about that could be an interesting connection our characters have.
Yeah. Especially if it was say for example the death was accidental, was if it was an accident, that some type, but it would still have fallen potentially on Tamsin's radar, because she'd been out trying to trying to learn stuff, or trying to find out any sort of things like that. So, but then there's the possibility of things not being entirely able to, not entirely adding up. There's also that, if we want to pursue that. So I mean, did anyone want to add anything to it? Do we want to add like a category of some kind, or like do we want to do like, say, vehicular, sporting, that kind of thing, or do we want to leave that vague for now?
I'm just a question to help figure out what it would be to ask Cal if the death is something that they want to deal with, like do they want to figure out what happened, or are they trying to put it behind them? It depends on.
I feel like they're trying to put it behind them because I feel like Cal knows what happened, how they died, but they don't want to live in that death.
I have one more follow-up question for that. Is it how does your character do around like alcohol and drugs and stuff? Because I feel like if they are a user of substances, that could have a lot to contribute into this story.
Well, I didn't plan anything for that just because I myself have no experience with that whatsoever and haven't really read on too much media about it, so I don't know how to portray the character dealing with that correctly. So
That's
it wasn't
fair.
planned.
Another question. Do you have any experience dealing with friends who are really into alcohol and drugs?
Not when they're around me, no. They
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that clarifies a lot. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I will say that I had when I was younger, 500 years ago, approximately. I did have a number of friends who were like deep into various substances, and it was always a very weird experience for me because like I had an inkling of it, but I was lucky in that it never became anywhere close to my problem. For me, they would keep it sort of separate. But it was sort of one of those things where it's like sometimes you go to parties and it's like, okay, all right, I guess that's what that is. You know, and so it's a, and so and it varies. It varies all the time depending on what the yeah.
Personally, for me, I didn't have that luxury. My family were all users while I was growing up. And I actually myself did end up falling into addiction at points in my life because of how desensitized I was to the experience. Luckily now I have been able to work out a lot of those issues, and I've done a lot of work on myself to be able to overcome those experiences. But like, I am very familiar with most things, is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I mean, so it's it's interesting. I ended up learning a lot more over time, basically afterwards. But yeah, it's just as far as like I was thinking for Cal specifically. I was just sort of trying to imagine sort of what it might kind of might sort of look like for them, or that sort of, you know, as they relate to that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Just because if like there was substance abuse, even if it was just that one night, that could have contributed to the death of their friend. But if that's not something that Ace is comfortable with portraying, then I wouldn't want to put that on them.
Oh, I'm fine with it. It's just that I wouldn't describe it myself, as I wouldn't know how to portray it exactly. Like I wouldn't know how to portray their actions versus what's going in their head or something like that.
Yeah. And yeah, actually, it's a possibility that Krimsin just brought up, is that it might have been something that was affecting your friend more specifically, if we want to go in that direction. And so it's from what I'm thinking. So that's a thing we can play with. But I think we're good. I think if I'm assuming I'm reading everything correctly here, I'm thinking that we're good with sort of leaving the specifics as a thing we kind of will uncover as we get further. Depending on. I'm going to give my disclaimer that I give about secrets and things of that nature that we do as sort of part of character things. There is always a chance. I do my damnedest to try to help players bring out what things they want to bring out. Is as far as if we're thinking in terms of dramatic reveals, that kind of thing. However, this RPGs are a chaotic thing, and there is a chance we may spin away from it, story-wise, depending on what goes on. Because and especially when I run this game, a lot of times I don't know exactly what I'm going to do next. I just do stuff. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna do my damnedest. Try to, if you want to incorporate stuff, absolutely awesome. But just as a disclaimer, we may find out a lot. We may only find out a little. It'll just depend on how things go. Are you okay with that? Okay.
Fine with that.
All right. Cool. I have a feeling, given that this may involve a character connection, also that we will probably find out a little more than a little, at least. But if that sentence makes any sense, but we'll see kind of how this goes. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and move on here. Once again, over to Shade for Tyler. We have again the question of what just happened to you. What's that thing that kicked things up another octave for you recently?
Yeah, that was in the evening where Tyler was at his lowest, and he was just sitting, drinking, and singing out of tune blues songs. And eventually he decided that it would be a great idea right now to try to text his ex-girlfriend.
Yes.
And well, she just basically said that, was remembering about the past and miss her. And she said that she was missing him as well, but he actually started dating with Craig, his ex-best friend, a few weeks ago. So it's probably better not to just kind of have a break for now and just leave it as it is. That was a long night for Tyler when eventually he managed to close his eyes to try to get some sleep. I think at this time for the first time he saw this image of the black hole. And I think it started from there.
Excellent. So just to be clear, Craig is also the one that you started the business with? Is that right?
That's the one. Yeah.
Excellent. Do you have the girlfriend's name? You don't have to, but if you do, I'm just curious.
Elia.
Could you spell that for us? If you want, you can put it in like one of the chats here.
Yeah. Yes, I will. It's not a very common name, which is interesting because when I was checking out, Delia is apparently a pretty common name, but Delia isn't.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and put that here in my notes. And now let me reformat the cell that has suddenly in my note spreadsheet that has suddenly decided it wants to wrap text and distort everything else on the spreadsheet. There we go. Okay. So that's fixed.
Never trust technology.
I know, right? It'll get you. Excellent. Okay. Cool. And so now let's go ahead and swing over to Cassa or Tamsin. What just happened to you?
I think at some point while she was working, I don't know if it's recent or like a bit before, maybe it was recent, but she saw something like a crime scene or something like really grotesque or just something that she couldn't imagine that people would do to other people or to things. And she realized, I don't know if this works, but she realized that she doesn't care. Like she doesn't know why, but she gets scared by this feeling because she wants to feel like other people when they like share and cry with each other. But at some point she just, maybe it was a coping mechanism, but she just stopped feeling sad when things happen.
Oh, nice. Yeah, sort of the emotional isolation, or
Apathetic.
just sort of loss, apathy, loss of sensitivity to it, just like could just be numbness. We don't know. It just could have been too much, but maybe, But that kind of thing definitely leads one to question oneself. All right, excellent. Okay, so the next two character questions are ones that I kind of do as a pair with everybody. We've already begun describing certain things about the characters, but I'm just going to give folks a chance to say anything else they want to about individual descriptions here as part of this question. So we're swinging back around to Krimsin for Katrina. I'm going to ask, what's on the surface? What's obvious about them everyone sees? Muted.
My bad. Katrina keeps her hair dyed a cacophony of purples and greens and blues. She wears a ratty patch-covered denim jacket with black leggings and a blue skirt, typically. Blue skirt probably has some cigarette burns on it. And as for her tops, she usually switches between either like black shirts with patterns on them or colorful, cute shirts, usually punk bands, stuff like that. Punk bands or gothic designs. She wears like 3-inch platform boots that go up to her knees, and the design of those boots is like a red dominant plaid design that goes up all the way up the boots. And hold on, where am I adding this? She looks to be like mid to late 20s, and honestly just looks like a hot trans woman crust punk. The people they see in the street would read them as mean and scary looking, and she carries herself with the air of, don't fuck with me. And the patch on the back of her jacket would say the same thing. They learn to present this part of themselves as a defense mechanism to keep themselves safe from the majority of harassment for being openly trans. So she's probably not very well received in most situations.
Okay. So the thing that so the next question, which I'm also going to ask, is what lies beneath? What's that sort of that part that you're not showing the world, if you can help it?
Yeah. Well, she's still scared. She's still full of self-doubt and over-analysis. She thinks about the miserable life she led prior to transitioning and how all the trappings of what people say make a happy life just had her going through the motions and pretending to be happy, even though she was miserable. And even though now she's homeless, now she's on the street, she's happier now than she ever was in her old life because she finally gets to be herself. And she would rather die than ever go back to being not trans. She sees herself as the sum of her experiences, though, which with the experiences she had lately, she honestly, she feels like she might be the monster everyone tries to claim she is. She's been forced to adapt for survival, which unfortunately means that even though she still holds love for people in general, even though she still wants to see everyone succeed and live a life that they can actually be happy in, she's not allowed to show that side of herself. because people will see it as weakness and use it as an excuse to take advantage, and she knows that.
Yeah. Absolutely. This is very good stuff. I just want to put in here.
You know what they say,
yeah.
Write what you know.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I also just I will just make a quick note reminder, please, that we want to let's just make sure that we're keeping. This is actually more for everyone else, actually, than for and not necessarily for Krimsin specifically, but it's that we just want to make sure that we are keeping an eye on what lines are any possible lines here. So we just want to make sure that we are when we're dealing. This is it's a very serious real life issue, and I just want to make sure we're treating it responsibly. Is all I'm saying. And I'm happy to try to have a venue here where we can explore that a little bit. But I will go ahead and say that I'm being as one can no doubt tell. My own societal positioning and privilege as such is that I am is something I am aware of, and I do not wish to try to bring a hammer down on things here in particular. So I'm so just to be clear, I'm not planning on making any making monsters, specifically making nightmares out of this specific struggle. I will be using some of it for inspiration for broader themes, I think, if that's okay.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Like, I don't expect you to attack trans people as a whole. No, that would be ridiculous.
No.
I just wanted to write a character that felt real in the world. You know what I mean?
Yes, and that's, in my opinion, wonderful. To have to be able to do that. So I just and that's actually one of the reasons that we don't currently on our lines and veils, we don't have currently. Let me look at it again to make sure. We don't currently have transphobia as a line, and this is specifically for reasons like this. Because there's some folks who want to be able to express pieces of themselves in their characters, and if you put certain things as a line, they can't. And so that's my answer. So that's I'm perfectly happy for this to be like an element in there for that expression.
All right. Just like as far as all of this goes, in character, I'm comfortable interacting with basically everything but slurs. Slurs are the line.
Okay. Absolutely no problem. And actually, if you like, I can put that. We can put that in. Any of us can put. We can put that into the lines specifically transphobic slurs. If you want, we can do that. And so that way it doesn't necessarily go there. But
I don't need to. I mean, honestly, even if I hear it, I'll probably just interact in character and tell the person to go fuck themselves.
Well, fair. Absolutely fair. But also feel free to, if any need to axe anything that comes up, please just let us know. Awesome. Okay. So now that so we talked about just what's on the surface and what lies beneath, and he's just making sure I've got it. That basically I do. Yeah, it's very, very much. I do very much sort of like the idea that sort of starting to that she's starting to some of the what things that folks have said are kind of getting to her. But she doesn't want to necessarily show weakness. Have and be taken advantage of. And so as a result, she does put on that front. And that's it's a very strong setup for a lot of for a lot of character conflict, and I do appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go ahead and move on to Cal, and ask once again. We got a little bit of a description, but just in case there's anything else you want to mention, what lies on the surface for Cal?
So I mentioned Cal's type before. They're 5'8". They're Caucasian, but they're even paler than one would think, despite them liking. I'm just adding this now, but they like the outdoors to a point. They're still pretty pale. They have dark wavy hair, and they are always seen wearing a jacket even in the heat. And they're always fiddling with a tarot deck. Now, this is a more recent development for them, but they seem to be cold and closed off more often now.
Interesting. Very
Going
interesting.
back to the what happened part.
Yeah. Okay. And can you tell us a little bit about what lies beneath?
So what lies beneath for the cold and closed off part, they're actually pretty kind and friendly, but they've gotten scared to get close.
I'm sorry, your sound has just gone out. I'm sorry, can you hear us okay? Okay, I'm sorry, your mic seems to have just gone out.
Now?
I think it just came back. Can you?
I just muted it. What did you
Yeah, it seems to be going in and out a little bit. But
it sounds like the connection to your mic to the input is maybe the mic came slightly unplugged from the input that you use, because it sounds like that is the type of electrical disturbance that is happening.
Yeah.
Interesting, because I'm using
Oh, yeah.
Maybe the battery is dying.
We're getting a little bit of connection static that seems to be happening when it comes and goes. I'm sorry. Could you try saying something? See if we can.
Supercalifragilistic.
Well, the good news is I heard the beginning of that, the silver lining in this cloud is that Disney will not sue us because the static came in at the end of it. But let's see. We'll go ahead. We'll keep going. Just sort of knowing that this is it's going to come and go. I think at this point when we'll probably be going to break in not too terribly long. And at that point, you might want, if you want to check, you sort of check it out or anything. You do whatever you need to do to sort of figure it out. But we'll try seeing if we can take one more stab at what lies beneath for Cal. What's under the surface?
All right. So what lies beneath? They are kind, actually pretty kind, but they're kind of scared to get close to people right now. And sorry, just making sure that you can still hear. And especially since after their friend died, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And they try to dress androgynously, but they're just worried that sometimes just not a big worry for them, but sometimes they're not non-binary enough, in air quotes. But yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. Good. Thank you for your patience and for repeating that for us.
Of course.
And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to swing over once again to Shade to ask again first what lies on the surface. What do we see?
Yeah, Tyler is in his late 20s. and let's just say that he looks approximately like me, just to make things simpler. And I'll try to get like a matching outfit. He usually wears a smart casual, kind of. This is what he used to wear from his banking job. So it's like a shirt, usually a white shirt. Sometimes it could have a blazer or not, with some matching trousers. He kind of knows that a good first impression counts, so he always tries to look at his best, smile, make compliments. Sometimes he can try to crack a joke. Right now, he kind of like, some cracks on the surface start to appear. So he could, for example, forget to get a clean shirt. So like he might get a stain on the shirt, or forget to shave properly, or just kind of get moody or spaced out a little bit, or his hands may start to like tremble or like slightly shaken, because he didn't have that much sleep, I guess.
Excellent. And what lies beneath?
Beneath, well, it's Tyler is really, it's like he's like a walking anxiety. He hit his existential crisis, and everything is kind of like grayish. It's kind of looking grayish for him. So he is not really sure where to go right now, and he isn't really sure if he can trust or should he trust anyone. And really what kind of is bugging him all the time is this thoughts about his past, and whether he wants to try to do anything about it, or just to kind of leave it be. So he's like really like inside of his head often.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Good. And we're going to swing over once again to Cassa and ask for Tamsin, what is on the surface?
So she's got short, like undercut, different colored hair, and it's gray, and it was, it's something that she didn't really care about, but then she just did it because it was something that her parents were like, whoa, what happened? But she's Asian, she's short, and people always comment on it, but she looks really tired. She's got big eye bags, and yeah, she's just she's someone that you wouldn't really notice, someone that you would just kind of look past or look over because she's quite short.
Okay. And what lies beneath?
I think she's having like a bit of a war between herself. She doesn't know if which one is real, the personality that she puts out in front of colleagues or her parents, someone that's like hardworking and smart and trying to make their way, or the other side, which is that she's kind of losing a grip on her humanity in a sense. Like she sees a lot of crime, and she's interested in the crime aspect and the bad things that people do to each other. She's intrigued by that, but she doesn't actually feel anything for the people that have been hurt or have been tricked or scammed or something.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So I'm gonna ask something right now. We have one more of the core character questions to do about the what's your path question. Do we want to go ahead and do that? Do that now, or do we want to take a break first?
I'm good either way.
We can do it. I'm fine either way. We can do it now. We can do it when we come back. Whatever works.
How much is there left? Like, what else are we talking into the story afterwards? Because then we might as well do it now and then do something else after.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and finish off with the path question, because yeah, we have after this we're gonna go into when we come back. Okay, so we'll do the path. We'll go to break, and when we come back, we are going to talk a little bit about the characters' talents, their abilities, just a few mechanical things about the characters, and then we're going to get into some world building stuff. So for the final question about what is your path, this is something I often think of as kind of, what do you want? What does your character want? What are they aiming for? What are they trying to what are their goals? That's kind of what we sort of I kind of like to lean into with this particular question. And once again, Krimsin, what's Katrina's path?
Well, Katrina sees her path as pretty simple. She's gonna keep living until she can't anymore. She does have a goal, and she does want to get her music out into the world. She doesn't really have much hope for it, though, and is just trying to survive on a daily basis. When her whole deal is, without a home and without money, she can't build her own studio. But studio time costs so much money that, you can't find anywhere to record your music. And the people who do have home studios either charge way more than she can afford, or it's not a real studio setup, and they're just trying to use it to get her back home with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Understandable. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's as someone who has has been doing podcasting on and off for a while, I definitely seen quite a range of things of this nature.
Yeah.
And so, but also, yeah, that's definitely I can definitely see that as a thing that would be a problem, definite problem. And so for Cal, what do we think of is Cal's path?
That's the
Yeah, can you start over? I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course. So Cal does have a couple of goals for self-forgiveness, self-healing from what he's seen and what has happened, and also some other more mundane goals, like just being more happy with their life and what's happening around them right now, be more stable. Yeah. It's all pretty simple goals, but that's what they are.
I mean, yeah, and sometimes those are those are the best to play with sometimes, because it's just like, this is simple motivations like that can be very good. Okay, and for Tyler, what is Tyler's path?
For Tyler, he really needs to make a choice whether to try to reconnect with his past or just to cut it loose. And for him, it's his banking job, whether he actually will never succeed with this amazing music lyric matching app, or it's just hopeless. And whether he should try to reconnect with Craig and Elia. And longer he is in indecision, the bigger this black hole kind of becomes. So he just needs to make any kind of decision, I guess.
Yeah. Excellent. Yes. Just writing this down real quick. Excellent. Okay. And Cassa, for Tamsin, what is Tamsin's path?
I think she thinks that by getting a job as a journalist, that somehow her life will click back into place. Maybe it's wrongfully put optimism, but she's banking everything on just trying to put herself in a place where she doesn't have to think too much. But yeah, she kind of wants to see how bad people can be as well. She wants to write about the things that she sees. Maybe also see if her opinion on these things, if people also care, if she writes them, and see what people think.
Excellent. Okay, excellent. So I think we've got a nice foundation here for our characters. So we're going to go ahead and go to break for a little bit. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about some of the mechanical aspects of the characters and some more things about the world. And in the meantime, I believe I have an interview queued up. This one is with Pope, who you may see in some capacity later. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But oddly enough, this interview we're talking about Don't Rest Your Head. So I thought it would be appropriate.
Nice.
So we will be back in just a little bit. See you shortly.
Stay
See you
tuned.
soon.
Welcome to the break. I am here with Pope, and we are going to talk a little bit about one of my favorite games ever, Don't Rest Your Head. Greetings, how are you doing?
Greetings, I'm doing quite well.
We were both rubbing our hands in eager anticipation of this topic. Are you as addicted to this game as I am?
I have a deep and abiding love for the game because it does everything that Changeling does, but in a much tighter package.
Oh dear God!
And
yes.
it is Changeling demands a campaign. Don't Rest Your Head just demands a night. You can try and run a campaign, but if you've only got like an evening to spend with friends and to give them one hell of a ride, there's nothing that quite compares to Don't Rest Your Head.
This is very, very true. How did you end up coming across Don't Rest Your Head? How did it happen for you?
It's all your fault.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize.
No, catching one of those miniseries early on and seeing that and going, I love this. I need this. And then getting to run it over on Colonomicon's channel and
Yes,
getting a chance with that. And yeah, no, it's been a love. And when somebody goes like, hey, can you roll a one shot? Especially in real life, it's like, well, I've got this. Do you want to have an interesting time? This is going to provide it. For a lot of what I like to refer to as World of Darkness refugees, it is a nice refuge.
That's very fair. That's very fair. Something that I've said for a very long time is probably since the first time I ever actually got to run Don't Rest Your Head, which was somewhere in the late aughts, I think. It is because I was prior to that I was deep into World of Darkness for quite some time, and I thought if you want to play, and this I sort of playfully say this, and I understand this can come off as a slight, so I apologize in advance to folks deeply into Vampire. But I too have been a very deep fan of Vampire. But something I've said for some time is if you want a game where you get to play a supernatural undead badass, you play Vampire the Masquerade. If you want to play a storytelling game of personal horror, play Don't Rest Your Head. And that spoke more to just the groups that I was in, I think, than anything else. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, and it Don't Rest Your Head occupies this really cool space now within the hobby of, like, it shares a lot of the same bones, I would say, as Quietus. Like, this is setting up for you to go on a ride. You don't necessarily know the exact place it's going to end, but you know the area code. Like, you know what the rough destination for this, and that is part of the buy-in. And because it is so explicit about its content and where it's going to go, where it's going to end, it makes it so much more enjoyable. And the wonderful thing that Don't Rest Your Head does more than a lot of other horror games is it gives you a place to put all of your toys as a storyteller. And I know with you, and also with me, just you get to start building the Mad City.
Yes.
And then you always have that. Once you've built that little model piece, whether it's a transdimensional Denny's, or it's the bazaar, and building out who's there, you can always come back to it. And for those who have already journeyed, it's like visiting an old friend. For those that it's their first time, you get to introduce them to a location, an NPC, someone that is a part of that world that you have lovingly crafted. And because you don't stay there so long, it always feels fresh, it feels new, it's engaging, and it doesn't outstay its welcome.
True. Now, I've just realized we probably haven't fully explained what exactly it is that we're talking about. So just to confirm for folks, this is a game that we are talking about. It is a horror game in which you play someone who is essentially an insomniac with superpowers, basically. You have powers driven from your exhaustion, and you have powers driven from sort of the madness that builds as a result of staying awake for too long. And then you are fine when you're awake for long enough, you can then see the nightmares, the living nightmares, as they walk amongst us, and then go back to their home in the Mad City. And the trouble is, of course, then at that point, that the nightmares can also see you. That's how I usually describe it.
There is a price for power. There's a price for entry, and that even with the naming conventions, it gives you that up front, like pain being a name.
Yeah.
And again, that word is so explicitly evocative.
Yeah.
Exhaustion. Like, you know, you're taking a risk in doing whatever that's called for. And so it is very explicit about what it is you're doing and the costs, what's at stake. It is ever present, and you need that for it. There is a level of atmosphere that horror games need to give you the tools to bring to the table. And whether that's like stress mechanics, whether that is, sanity, whatever it is, you need to have something to hang a few hats on. And Don't Rest Your Head has that in spades. Plus, it gave us so many intriguing, esoteric characters to also use in our stories, with evocative names like Ladies in Hating, the Taxman, like the Wax King. These names are delightful, to good mouthfeel. delightful to say, but also bring forth so many different images in the context of the game.
I remember hearing you describe it at some point as something that was, and the Changeling connection, I think, is related to this, obviously, but I remember hearing you describe it in a game as something that was like akin to a fairy tale when looking through it, because it's very much like that, except it's a much darker twist on the whole thing than even darker than I think people normally think of fairy tales as being.
But it comes from the same place. It comes from that place of legend, and this unique conceit that when you sleep, part of your consciousness goes someplace.
Yeah,
and it is part of this collective human experience that builds these places, these things. That's what Changeling does well, and that's what Don't Rest Your Head does exquisite. Is it gives you the tools of dream logic, and for both player and storyteller, it's incredibly freeing. You're not, your hands aren't bound by so many mechanical minutiae. You can go to the weird places, you can go to the esoteric places, and you can go to the surreal places, like just with your channel and Invisible Sun. Like, I'd like to think of Don't Rest Your Head as Invisible Sun's goth cousin. Like,
in a way, yeah.
It has that dream element that allows you to give your players a respite, because humor is always going to happen at the table. It always will. It's how we break tension. It's just part of the human experience. But here you have, instead of it being inflicted upon the game, it's part of the game. Having those odd moments, those funny moments, those breaks before you twist it or turn it on its head and make it menacing again.
Oh yeah, and I think we could talk about this for hours and hours probably, but alas, we don't have that much time. I will say something that I remember seeing. The thing about the thing about this game, and part of the reason that I think we're both so frenzied about it, is that it is just very adaptable, very versatile. It has, much like Invisible Sun, and also to an extent like Amber, it has the ability for its lore to just accordion out like nobody's business. You can make so much, so fast, so easily with the concepts that you're presented, which is why I've got these. I don't even use the base nightmares much anymore. I've got this entire weird thing of connections of nightmares that is weird. In these strange power struggles, changing the shape of the city, and it's just a blast. But to that adaptability, I remember seeing you use the Mad City in other campaigns that weren't even Don't Rest Your Head.
Yeah,
and it works great.
as a locale for that was doing a superhero game.
Yeah.
As a locale, and if you have a mystical protagonist in anything, if they're dealing with the astral plane, if they're dealing with dreams, interpretation, anything like that, and it is in a modern setting, the Mad City all of a sudden gives you all these tools without having nearly so much that the mechanics require of you to use these things. You can just go, I am going to take all of this beautiful lore, mood, tone, and throw it at this protagonist, and now they have to deal with this. And if you're using any system that has some flexibility, this is just a wonderful location to bring into your game that then you can go later on, say like we're having a progressive campaign. You can take a trip to the Mad City for a little while in that game, and then later on, when you need a break, you can go back there, but with the actual rules. And your players will already have a level of familiarity, but be able to experience something absolutely brand new.
Yeah. And I got to tell you that there was a time not terribly long ago when in my Invisible Sun campaign, the PCs were in there is a nightmare realm stated, basically the dark side of blue, that where they were going through and you can get close to people's nightmares. And I was sorely tempted. Alas, we did not have time. But I just felt, if they just continue on a little bit further, they're already running into living nightmares. Not much of a jump to start getting close to the Mad City, but maybe another time, maybe another campaign. Well, this has been wonderful. But just real quick, if folks just in general are sort of looking for you online, where should they go?
That is Pope World Build over on the Twitter. You can follow me there. They'll have all the updates as to appearances elsewhere. And yeah, definitely keep an eye out for more horror content, possibly with my shiny face on it, over on Balrog 1911 and Wandering DM in the future. So till next time, folks, take care of yourselves and thank you for hanging out with us.
Take care, folks. We'll see you suddenly. We have returned, and we shall now. And I've noticed that I need to fix the cameras real quick. Because that is a thing that happens sometimes when I'm not paying attention. And there we go. Okay. So now that we have resumed our identities, we can talk a little bit more about these characters, and more specifically, we have a few little things to go over for them, for their that happens with them mechanically, that I just wanted to check in on. So we're gonna go around real quick first of all and talk about this one. This one's generally pretty fast because it's a question about your fight or flight responses. Typically, whenever you just as a quick little thing, anytime that you do something that is going to be met with some kind of resistance, typically, or that I think is going to be difficult, I may I may call for a roll. I'll tell you how many pain dice I'm rolling, and then you get to figure out your die pool based on a few things. You have a default of three discipline, and then your exhaustion is variable depending on if you wanted to add exhaustion, or if exhaustion happens to you. And you can always add 1 to 6 madness dice, no matter what you're rolling, if you like. If you're using a madness talent, then I'll tell you a specific number at least that you'll need to use, but you can always use up to 6 madness dice if you wish. And so when madness dominates, which means when a pool dominates, we're not looking at the number of successes, but we're looking instead at what the highest dice in the pool are. Successes are 1s, 2s, and 3s usually. That's how we figure out, whether you can do whether. Well, the way I do it is more good news, bad news. But it tells us, how you're doing accomplishing your goal here. The thing dominating, the pool dominating, is more you're looking for 6s or whatever's the highest number in the pool. So when that pool of dice that's rolled is madness, that means that that things are spinning out of control a bit, and one of your fight or flight responses goes off, and you check off that response. You have 3 of them, and you get to pick between fight or flight. How many? You can have 3 fight responses, or you could have 3 flight responses if you want to go all in, or you could do 2 of one and 1 of the other. And so I just want to go around and check in with folks, and find out what their responses are, and if anyone has any questions on it. So first off, for Katrina, what are your responses set at?
I went with 2 fight and 1 flight.
Okay, cool. And that makes sense. And for Cal, what responses do you have set up?
I honestly am not sure
Okay.
if I should do fight more or flight more, so I'm thinking that more when I think more about how the character would react in situations.
Okay, so yeah, do you think that also let's ask briefly. Does Cal have the capacity for both in them, do you think? Is Cal always going to do one thing, or do you think sometimes they might, if things are spiraling out of control, would they sometimes fight and sometimes flee?
Oh, I think it is definitely both, especially based on the situations.
Okay.
Like, most people tend to do either one or another based on the situations, and they're like that.
Okay, so just if we were to take, say, a random sampling from across their, what they, how they react to things, are they more likely to stop and push back, or are they more likely to try to avoid the situation?
I was thinking of them more as a freeze person, but since that is close to flight, I think I'm doing it in there.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no, so that sounds to me like it's probably going to be 2 flight and 1 fight. Does that sound good? Okay, awesome. You'll notice on the character sheets in Roll20, they're labeled as fight and flee. And so that's sort of how you can enumerate them in there. So for Shade, for Tyler, where did you set your responses?
I'd say it's 2 flight and 1 fight.
Cool. Again, makes sense given what we've been talking about. And then finally, Cassa, for Tamsin, what are your responses?
I think all of them will be fight, but like not in an enthusiastic way. Just like she's just gonna do it just to see what happens.
Okay, no, awesome. It's always neat. You gotta have at least one person who goes all in on one of the responses. Excellent. All right, cool. So a lot of potential, just sort of aggression and pushback going on with that character. All right, so that's that question. We're going to talk about our talents now, the character's talents, the exhaustion talents and the madness talents. we're going to start by talking about the exhaustion talents. Basically, for exhaustion talents, this is the thing that you can do that is seemingly within, to an observer, would be within the realm of human possibility. But you're just incredibly good at it. It can even be a little bit supernatural, but it's got to at least look like it's within the realm of human possibility. So it's an exhaustion talent. Is kind of the idea is you ever just sort of get so tired that you can suddenly do stuff that you weren't thinking about before. That's kind of what it comes down to. So the idea being, of course, before you use an exhaustion talent, you get to decide if you're going to do a major use or a minor use. The main difference there. So when you have a minor use, that means you're guaranteed to have at least a number of successes equal to your exhaustion pool when you roll. Anytime you roll anything, you can choose to increase your exhaustion by 1 if you wish. And so that's also the case here. So whatever your exhaustion pool is, you'll have at least that many if you're doing a minor use of your talent. If you're doing a major use of your talent, then that means that, first of all, that means that you're getting that many successes. Plus, if you happen to roll successes on the exhaustion pool, you get those successes as well. So they add on to it. And before you do a major use, you have to increase your exhaustion by 1 before you roll. So that's essentially mechanically how that works. If exhaustion dominates when you roll, that means that whatever it is, good or ill, it's very tiring for you, and your exhaustion goes up by 1 after you roll. So I mean that can be in addition, even if you did it before, even if you increased it beforehand, afterwards it's going to go up again because exhaustion is dominating. When you reach 6 exhaustion, then you need to watch out, because when you get to the point that you would get a seventh exhaustion die, then you crash. And then that's like ringing the dinner bell for all the nightmares. They'll know exactly where you are, and they will make a beeline to you. So that's basically just sort of a thing to deal with there. So we're going to go around and talk about our exhaustion talents. So starting again with Krimsin, for Katrina, what is Katrina's exhaustion talent?
Performance. Just like the more exhausted she is, the more she's able to like sort of turn her brain off and actually just perform in the ways that she needs to. Whether that be with guitar or like acting, like pretending to be a certain way,
putting on a facade of some kind, or well, that's the thing is, I don't know if I'd call it a facade, even though, because it's like, even when you're doing, say, I mean, I wouldn't call. Okay, no, I'm not going to get into definitions of words, but here for that. But yeah, so bringing your stage game type deal to a thing, yeah. Oh wow, I think you frozen.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Technology failed us again.
No!
The real nightmare is technology.
It is, really.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
It's now officially failed at least half the party.
These things happen. Alas, sometimes I ramble and unnecessarily, and I break the machines. So let's see if. Oh, I think their internet might have gone out. Hopefully they're okay. Just checking in real quick. Before we dive any further in, so that I can so we can make sure they're all right. Okay. So we will. What we'll go ahead and do is we're gonna keep going. And hopefully they will dive back in. Hopefully they'll dive back in when they're ready to be able to jump in. But it looks like their internet might have gone down because they also it happened with meat at the same time. But let me see. But and they're typing a response. Yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to
Okay.
ask because I don't know if you guys said it, but what side dice is it? 6 side? D6?
6-sided dice. Yeah, six-siders. Okay, looks like their computer's coming back up now, and here we go. Excellent. And once again, I'm just going to move everyone back to their spots. Whilst this is going on, and we have, as we're returning to this, yeah, it's always going to be 6-sided dice. For this, it's the only die you need for this game. Okay.
It seems that I am Tyler now.
Yes. And back to normal. So, and the way, thankfully, when you're rolling these pools, the character sheet in Roll20 makes it a lot easier. Because I was trying to, I ran this game before that happened, before they get the character sheet, and there were so many macros, and I didn't fully understand macros at the time, and so there was always a bit rough. But thankfully now they have the macros, and sort of the way that it goes is that it'll come through, and so we can then have it that you can roll, and then I can roll pain, and that's how that will work. Hey, hi, welcome back.
Hey, sorry about
cool.
that.
Oh, no worries. I'm just glad everything's okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think the my surge protector had the button on the side that controls the power jostled a little bit.
Yeah. I've totally done that before with this computer. In fact, I think while streaming, I've accidentally kicked my surge protector, and terrible things happen. But we're gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about. I think we got a good sense of Katrina's exhaustion talent. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about Cal's exhaustion talent. What is your exhaustion talent?
So for Cal's exhaustion talent, I did an increase in perception and kind of intuition. So by doing stuff, they can do like a major thing. Well, they can do stuff like based on things they've seen, maybe make slightly more accurate predictions, notice what people have not seen, or read what other people are thinking based on body movement.
Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, no, that's good. I think there was one person who made a character with sort of had the Sherlock Holmes thing going on, kind of, where they kind of think. And actually, we have a character in the other game who has in the other group who has something like that, but it's something more akin to their madness talent.
For that, I'm planning this character works with tarot cards for memory.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We just lost you again. Your audio. You said something about the tarot cards. Sorry, it's not coming through. Yeah, looks like we're going through looks like we're going through another signal tunnel here, basically, as it were. Can you hear us okay? Okay. Do you want to give it one more try to say what you were going to say about the tarot cards?
Yeah, I'm doing computer for now to see if it's my headphones, but it's just because they work with tarot cards, I'm planning on doing it like how some psychics actually tend to see what people want to hear more based on body movement, etc.
Yeah. Cold reading. Excellent. Good. Very cool. Very cool. So let's go ahead and head over again to Shade. Tell us about your exhaustion talent.
Yeah. I generally don't like social talents because like I don't know, it's usually I just like try to make it like by like role playing, and especially like if it's used against a player, usually people just hate that. Like, what do you mean your character just convinced my character to do that? You know, but maybe I just have a couple of options, and you can tell me which one which may work, or if not, I could try something else. So the first one could be like throwing off balance, like verbally. So just kind of making, I don't know, using anything to make somebody confused or not sure of his actions. Like, for example, it could be something like noticing that, I don't know, they have a stain on the shirt, or like noticing that it's actually, if it's somebody is trying to, some sort of a guard is trying to, I don't know, to make me leave from the territory, saying that they actually don't have any jurisdiction over here, like stuff like that, which actually difficult to check. So if it makes sense.
I'm just trying to make sure I understand. You're talking about sort of the ability to kind of invoke, the ability, sort of the ability to sort of argue, or
sort of, yeah, like making somebody to doubt his status or action. So
okay,
just
yeah.
making people like sort of like confused or unsure of themselves.
So gaslighting.
Gaslighting.
Yeah, I mean that could be true or not. It's like, so for example, it could be like, you know, if somebody is trying to make some sort of like I don't know, show some sort of a leadership, or kind of like behave like in a, I don't know, in a dominant manner. It could be like, oh, sorry, you actually have some like sticking out of your nose, and he'll be like, oh, and probably his act will not succeed that well. Or yeah, it could be sort of like gaslighting. It's like, yeah, you know, you don't actually have a right signature over here, or yeah, no, it's fine because like this is how everyone does that. Or, like, don't you know?
Yeah. So kind of to be slightly kinder, it would be sort of a persuasive, fast talking type thing. Yeah, something like that.
In a particular, like in a very particular thing that it's like just to make somebody confused, because I don't want to make it like super general.
Okay. So yeah, confusing people. That's good.
This is sort of like confusing people and like doubting their actions. Or it could be another way would be just getting people to share secrets. So it's one or the other, depending on your scenarios that you have in mind.
I see.
One would work better than the other.
So either we could lean in the direction of being confusing people, or it could be convincing people. I think you'd probably get sort of persuading people.
So the second one would be just to getting some private information out of people, like private secrets.
Oh, sort of a confidant type deal.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oddly enough, we do have someone in the other game who's doing sort of a confidant type exhaustion talent, which I mean, you're welcome to take it here if you like. But so it can work. Yeah, it can work either way. I can see that going either way. So it's just it'd be sort of, you know, you'd have kind of a different tack you'd want to take. But we should probably sort of define which one it leans toward, just so that we can kind of make that work.
Okay, in this case, I'll just go with the confusion one, or like gaslighting one.
I'm gonna regret having called it that. But no, yeah. So confusing people, raising doubt. I think that's perfectly. That works. That works. Okay. And I mean, you can also parlay that kind of into people telling you secrets. In a way, it's just a question of like, you just have to raise doubt enough for them to start, communicating more like that. Absolutely fine. So, Cassa, for Tamsin, what is Tamsin's exhaustion talent?
I want to go like in a physical route and say like she's good at parkour, or like she's climbing over walls or breaking into places. So, well, not really breaking it, but like trying to get the first scoop, right? So she can scale walls, maybe a little bit to some extent. Run away quickly. So.
Yeah.
Or is that like two separate things? I don't know.
I mean, you can. Well, so running, it has. Yeah. So parkour. If we wanted to, running and parkour are very tied together. As long as you're like you're sort of leaping away, basically. Climbing walls. Again, if you're using a talent like that, it means there's probably a second wall or something nearby where you can sort of go back and forth.
Yeah.
The main thing with something, if you want to, again, I'm not trying to push you specifically to parkour, but if you want to do it, it's the main thing. My understanding, as someone who has never done it before, is you have to have something to bounce off of. That's kind of the deal to make that from what I have seen. Does that sound like what you want to do?
I mean, I thought about it, and parkour was like the first thing, but then
in general, height and dexterity.
Yeah, so more generally, like so you're thinking more general, just sort of very sort of athletic, getting from place to place, basically.
Yeah, because then I guess you could also include like if you can. No, yeah, parkour. I'll just do parkour.
Okay.
I don't want to get too. Don't want to get too much.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. It's just a question. We just gotta figure out what we want to, what the realm is roughly. There's not really. This is all very. It's all very. As folks may have noticed about this system, things are very sort of wobbly, and a lot of how we interpret things defines them. As far as that goes. So yeah, no, we can play with that. We can play with that. So if you want to nail it down to parkour, that's absolutely fine. If you want it to be more of a just get somewhere quickly, we can try to do that as well.
Gotcha. Think about it.
Okay. All right, we're going to talk about madness talents now. So the thing with madness talent is that you must tell me when you want to use it, and I will tell you how many dice minimum you'll need to roll of madness as part of your dice pool. You can always roll more than that if you like. But as a reminder, anytime madness dominates, you check off a response, a fight or flight response. Once you have checked off your third fight or flight response, then once you would check off a fourth, you snap. And what that means in this context is that you're going to just basically, for a little bit, the chaos kind of takes over at this point. You lose it for a bit. It's up to you how you want to interpret that. And you get to clear out your responses, but then you lose one discipline and you gain one permanent madness die. Now, once that happens for the third time, then you snap permanently. After you've checked off three responses 3 times, and you go for that fourth response, then you get that third permanent madness die. You lose all your discipline. You become a nightmare. And the madness talent also, depending on how you interpret it, can be kind of an indicator of the type of nightmare you're turning into. That's one of the reasons why a lot of madness talents are on a sliding scale. You essentially can go further and further with it if you wish. But it is a delightful downward spiral because the more you use your madness talents, the more you have chances of madness dominating, and the closer you might get to becoming a nightmare. So that's a thing that can happen.
Let's speed run to nightmare status.
oh, there's so much I can't say right now, but it's let's just say that's you're not the only one who's had that sentiment. But we're gonna have so many nightmares by the end of this game. Starting again with Krimsin, what is Katrina's madness talent?
As I brought it up before, it is energy manipulation, being able to see and understand the different waves of energy coming off of things and being able to change the way that energy is reacting.
So, and you talked about an example where you were able to change people's moods. You were able to get them to kind of run away. Is it like primarily an emotional thing, or does it affect physical objects and things, do you think?
I do want to say it would affect objects as well, just like how different lighting sources give up different waves of energy. Yeah. I think like stuff like that, I think she would be able to like chop down a light source or make it blindingly bright, or maybe even change the colors of the wavelengths. Like I think she can manipulate the energy, like as the power becomes more powerful, she'll be able to like honestly create almost illusions in the world with this talent.
Interesting. Okay, no, I like this. That's very cool. Also, it's just sort of the idea of energy changing forms is always something I have been kind of interested in. So that sounds interesting. I'm very curious to see how that plays out. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Ace, do you have Cal's madness talent?
Yes. So for Cal's madness talent, I was thinking of maybe invoking the major arcana, like for changing up maybe a role to make a fight easier as a support at the beginning, and it getting stronger by invoking just something small.
Okay. So invoking the major tarot arcana, basically, as your madness. I love that. So, and again, as just a reminder for folks, madness talents have a wide range of different things. There are a lot of examples in the supplement book "Don't Lose Your Mind," which I let folks take a look at earlier. The sometimes there are things that you physically can do. Sometimes they can be like a person or animal you have with you, or they can be they can be other things, just things that are happening. So it's a wide range of things. It's so in this case, when you're talking about using the tarot, the major arcana, is this like, I'm dying to learn what this looks like. Is this something where like you become the card, or is it something where you summon the thing on the card? What's it like?
I feel like it's closer to summoning. Just think of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Disk.
Awesome. Excellent. And the funny thing about it, I just used the example as though it were an either or, becoming the thing on the card or summoning the thing on the card. It really can be both if you want. Because again, that's why part of the reason why it has a sliding scale.
My deck has no bad cards to use. Yeah. That type of thing is what I was thinking.
I really want to see what happens when we do this in play, because I'm just delighted by this whole concept. Just yeah. So is it like you can eventually get to a point where it's if you play the death card, like an actual skeletal figure on a pale horse shows up? Is that?
I was hoping for something like that to be kind of like something if they're at the edge of their madness talent or something.
Yeah. And so like the bigger thing. Interesting. It's very interesting. You could even have a thing where you can just manipulate situations at the low end. You just manipulate situations lightly, where it's like you draw the card and you say, and you're talking about like cold reading. It's like, oh, it looks like things are going to change for you, and then make it seem a lot more like that situation is becoming like that. That's like so like you can do low special effects to high special effects. Very cool. I like that. That's all I have as far as asking about that. Right now, anyway. Let's see. Shade, what is Tyler's madness talent?
I have this idea that so Tyler has this image of this black hole in his head, which he's afraid of. Maybe he could, for maybe a few seconds, kind of involve this black hole into existence in the real world. So just to make use of it, if it is possible.
Well, that's the cool thing about madness talents, is they can break the rules. So basically, you have the ability to summon a singularity. That's what I'm hearing.
Kinda.
So are you talking about making? So like, are we talking about, say, maybe making people and things disappear, or are we talking about using the idea of the black hole as kind of a? Is it like on a mental level, sort of, or a perceptual level, or is it even just, and then at higher levels, physical things get sucked in, that kind of thing? Or is that sort of what? Do I have the right of it? Is it kind of like that?
I think, in the core, it is just sort of a physical black hole which appears somewhere in the air and which sucks everything which is close enough to it.
Mm-hmm.
And after some time, it would disappear. And I guess, depending on the strength, it would be a bigger or a smaller one, and like it would stay there longer or shorter period of time.
Okay. Yeah, this is good. This is very good. I can't say why, but it's very good. Cassa, what is Tamsin's madness talent?
Yep. I think I'm gonna go really basic and say she turns invisible.
Sure. No, perfect.
Yeah, that's my talent.
And typically, we can work out what the levels for that are when you do it. Basically, you can just tell me how well hidden do you want to be, and we'll kind of go from there. Total invisibility would probably be somewhere in the like 3 or 4 range, I'm thinking, as far as madness dice. And then if you want something that's like extremely even more invisible than that, which there are ways to think of that. People forget you were ever there. That sort of thing. Then that's going beyond would be more in the 5-6 range, I think, probably.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds roughly workable to me. Okay, cool. So those are our talents. Before we move on to a bit of world building stuff. Does anyone have any questions about any of this that we've talked about thus far? Again, this is not your last opportunity to ask such questions, but do you have anything at the moment? Okay, sounds like we are good. So, as a group, let's talk about this a little bit. We have sort of established we kind of wanted folks. I got the impression we kind of wanted folks to know each other a little bit beforehand, unless I'm off base on this. We talked about. Let me go back to that post. I threw out some possibilities. The possibilities I threw out was you're all regular patrons of like the same bar, coffee house, diner, or similar establishment. I threw out a possibility of everyone staying at the same hotel while traveling. I threw out the possibility of everyone being invited to a private event. And I felt as though we were kind of leaning toward the patrons of the sort of patrons of the same place, like a coffee house. I seem to remember at some point us talking a lot about coffee keeping us awake, and so that being that feeding into it. But again, I don't want to put words in anybody's mouths. Is that kind of the direction we want to go in, or do we want to do something else?
I mean,
I think coffee house is cute.
yeah, I'm down for a coffee house.
I mean, I think we also have our own little connections, right? Like in terms of maybe the music side, and then also the death.
Yes. And we have that, and we'll actually have the opportunity in a second to further develop that if we want. So I like the idea of us being patrons of a coffee house. We'll need to think about this location. So this is when I start to possibly draw on this deck that I have here, this deck of cards. This is we may or may not use it depending on if we need to here, because I'm going to ask folks to give me details about this location. This is a game but what I will draw on if we need it is a series of prompts from a deck of cards. This is called Decuma. This is created by Kimmy Hughes, or Kimmy of the Happy Jacks Media Network. It's a very lovely, very delightfully illustrated deck of tarot cards that has a few different categories that you can use to try to just sort of get prompt type questions for folks to answer about different things. And so it's one of those things where it's like, I'm going to ask for some details, and if we want, we can default to drawing one of the blue Decuma cards, if we want to just go from there. But it'll be up to, depending on with each individual, if we want to add on to it, to what we say or not. So I'd like to, and we don't necessarily have to go around specifically, but I'd like everyone to give me one detail about this coffee house. Something we know about this coffee house. Who would like to start?
Can I say maybe Kristen? No, I forgot what. It was
Katrina.
Yeah, no, I was really close because I saw your name on Zoom, and I just If Katrina plays at the coffee house, is that like a?
Well, yeah, I was actually thinking that I was going to suggest that they have regular open mic nights, as well as since they probably would know my situation, they let me come in and play when there's not other performances or events going.
I was thinking of suggesting something else about music, which is when no one is playing for the open mic, that they would have a station playing, but unlike most coffee houses, it isn't as relaxing as you'd expect. So if you want to not sleep, this is a more preferred place.
Interesting. So when there are no performances, there is music playing, but it is not relaxing. Is the detail?
For example, my local coffee house actually tends to play punk music.
That's good.
I like it. Yeah. So I was more sort of Of course, for some reason, my brain went to minimalist stuff. So it's like, yes, they play Philip Glass. That's not relaxing at all. But no, punk is good. Punk is good. Sort of loud, sort of punk music and metal, goth metal, that kind of thing. Is that sort of the area we're thinking?
If that's what everyone likes, it's just an example.
Yeah, Don't feel like you have to go with what I'm saying. I'm just throwing crap out.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what? Do we like that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they play that when they don't have performances, and when someone's performing, obviously it's whatever they're playing. Excellent. So we've had details from from Krimsin and Ace. And Cassa was sort of talking about Katrina performing there, but was there anything else you wanted to throw in? Since I kind of figured that was going to be a given, really, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. Maybe there's like one nice or one like sofa area that they always sit at, or like people sit at. I don't know. Every time I think of coffee house, I think of Central Perk. So.
Oh no! I mean, no. The sofa thing is definitely a thing. I haunted coffee houses quite a lot in my 20s, and into my 30s, and I have not done it so much as much within the last decade because of time and situations and all that. But I would go back and haunt coffee houses had I the bandwidth to do so. But no, that's cool. Nice sofa area. Shade, do you have any details you want to throw in?
I'm thinking about the decor, and once I've been to a very interesting coffee house which had a bunch of like round mirrors hanging on the walls. I really liked how it looked like. What do you guys think about it? So
yeah, that would be cool.
So like kind of like oval mirrors with sort of like metal frames, or some of them had actually wooden frames. Just, I don't know, it looked very unusual.
Huh. So different types. Yeah. Cool, I like that. All right, cool. So we've all thrown in some possible things on here. If you want, I can draw a card if we want to add one more thing to it. Do we want to do that?
I really want to see this Carson.
Yeah, draw a card.
Okay. Let me go ahead and do this quick little shuffling that I must do to make that work. Let me see. Blue card, the blue Dakuma card. Okay, I'm just going to randomly draw one from near the top. Do we want something? So we have a choice of either negative. We've drawn basically a King of Pentacles looking character. And let's see. We have one of two questions we can answer here. So we can either have someone who is obsessed with wealth or someone who is averse to change.
I think the second might be really interesting, especially since there's going to be a lot of change soon for our characters.
Okay, so this would be someone tied to the coffee house, probably an NPC. But someone in our location is averse to change. Why is routine so important to them? And that's the...
My ideas on that is just maybe in terms of tying it into the decor, like it's just like really old or like something that, like antiques, and so they don't want to change it, and it's been like that for a while now.
What do we think? Do we want the maybe the proprietor of the coffee house is like an antique collector, that sort of thing?
Who listens to punk?
If it is a punk establishment, then I would actually think that if they're averse to change, it would, in my opinion, would be more like it still has like old band posters with like tour dates and stuff on them, where this coffee house actually used to be a venue for like punk bands to come through and perform, so the owner refuses to change it because they used to have those bands coming through all the time, and they want to harken back to the days when that was the case.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm getting a very distinct picture in my head now, which maybe, it's interesting. And it's funny. There's this thing that happens, especially with when folks are into sort of like rebellious movements, there's some folks and that I've noticed that some folks who were into rebellious movements stayed with it and still consider themselves rebellious, but they've gotten set in their ways after it's been like 30 or 40 years, and so they're like they feel like they're just holding on to that past and have a little trouble with things having changed around them.
Just
And they,
like,
in their mind, they're still rebelling, but in fact, they're the old guard.
And they're still just like, these young punks, they don't know what it was like back in my day.
Exactly. Oh,
They're all
God.
just posers nowadays.
I love it. Okay, cool. Just while the details are open, before my brain starts to automatically, before my, hang on.
I understand the sentiment you are trying to reach.
Before my brain inserts, before my brain just wholesale just inserts William Shepard, who is this the detail here? I just want to ask, what do we want for anything? Is there any detail about this proprietor we want to nail down at this point? I mean, if you want, I can just make a character, make an NPC. But do we want this to be because they're probably not going to be in this for a huge amount of time per se,
right?
But do we want this to be? Is there like a particular? Do we want a particular type of person? Do we want particular pronouns for this person? That sort of thing.
Honestly, I was thinking like definitely a Henry Rollins type. Just like used to be super hardcore and is now like actually kind of conservative, but thinks they're still hardcore.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But
I don't know why, but pictured in my head is the type of dude is a dude and the type to mansplain stuff to women who are in
definitely
the subculture.
The weird thing here, and I can totally see that being the case. I will say it's someone who is at least understanding enough that they want to be supportive of people who are artists who are different coming in and doing stuff. It's just that a lot of times I think the culture just doesn't match up for them, probably more often than not. And so I imagine this would probably be someone who is probably maybe their heart's in the right place, but it's just the way that they express it is absolutely out of touch.
Yeah, I've known a lot of people like that where they want to be supportive and they want to be good, but like their head is so stuck in the past that even when they're trying to show support, it comes off as mildly offensive.
Yeah. My one of my worst fears is as someone in my 40s is becoming that person, and I struggle daily not to. But no, absolutely. Okay, cool.
I think that at some point in time, Tyler probably told this guy about his music app, and he probably said that it was like total crap.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing is, it's like at first blush, it's like, you possibly got somebody's meanings on this. What the hell? Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Excellent. So I think I've got enough details here for this. We will ultimately need to name this person, but I can grab. That's what generators are for, I think, if nothing else. We'll dive into that at some point. But let's go ahead and now move on to our next question. And this one I kind of need to ask for everyone a little bit just to get a general sense here. And it's really just what your habits are for visiting the venue, how long you've been visiting. And so, and is it like, do you go there every day, or is it like you go there like once a week, that kind of thing? So I'll go around again. Krimsin, how long has Katrina been visiting, and for about how often do they visit?
Well, I honestly want to say that they were visiting even before they were homeless, just because like the 24-hour coffee shops are pretty rare, and since this one does have that history of like punk shows and stuff, I do want to say that like she was punk even before. She just didn't like wear it on her sleeve like she does now. So like I want to say that she used to visit it like maybe once a week, but ever since like the past few months or whatever, she's been there like every other day, sometimes every day. She is a frequenter. I don't know how else to put that.
Oh, sure. No, it's that works.
She frequents it. She's a regular. That's the word.
Yeah. Did the yeah. Cool. If I may ask, did the proprietor know Katrina prior to the transition?
I mean, probably not. It was probably around the time that she started transitioning that she started actually doing things that she enjoyed again, and actually going out to places and stuff like that. So it was probably shortly after that the proprietor had met her and started to get to know her and stuff. Yeah.
Cool. All right. And so Ace, what are how long has Cal been going to this place, and how often do they visit?
I think Cal's been going many years, and they used to go every day, but the couple days would be with their best friend who is no longer around, and the other days they just bring their tarot cards and do readings for who want it. And they started going less recently just because their friend isn't around, so they don't like going the days they used to hang out with their friend as much.
Yeah. At some point, you don't have to decide this now, but I'll need a name for your friend. I don't know if I said.
I'm probably going to use a generator for that.
That's absolutely fine. That's what they're for. Very cool. Cool. And Shade, how long has Tyler been going, and what are his habits?
I think this place is near his apartment, and this is why he was going there like maybe once a week. He used to go there once a week, but after his breakdown, he started going there like almost every day, I'd say, to get his portion of coffee and distraction just from what's happening.
Yeah.
I think probably he sometimes is just like trying to work there with his laptop, and these days he just like really hates this place because of this music. It's horrible music.
It's like almost easier when there's a live performance there to work, I'm guessing, which is like the inverse of what it would usually be at a coffee house.
Yeah.
Awesome. And for Cassa, how long has Tamsin been going, and what are her habits for it?
I think since she moved to the city, maybe like Tyler, she kind of lives nearby, and she just stops in and out like in the mornings and at nights. She doesn't really stay long. Sometimes she'll see something happening, but she just kind of, it's like a stop on the way to and from places.
Okay. But it stops through briefly. Is it like probably not on a schedule necessarily, but like just fairly often, or is it?
Yeah, like every morning for breakfast.
Oh, okay.
Just pops in, gets a cheap coffee and a croissant, and then pops out.
Excellent. Perfect. 24 hours. Also serves breakfast, foods, items, and probably cakes and things like that. Okay. Cool. All right. Excellent. Next question is now we're getting into how well everyone knows each other. You probably, I'm guessing, you might all know each other from the coffee house, but you might also know each other from something else if you wish. So first of all, if you have ideas about it, we can go in there, or if you prefer, I can draw a red card that gives a deeper sort of character connection thing if we want to talk about the specifics. So I'd like us to do kind of a. We don't have to connect up everyone to absolutely everyone, necessarily, but I'd like there to be something of a circle going on if we can, so that there's, associations. So everyone's associated to at least one other person, basically, potentially two, if we can do that. So it just depends on how we want to do this. So, yes, I remember how I do this. So I'm going to. Took me a second to remember how I do this. So what I'm going to ask is, I'm going to go around and I'm going to say to you, you have this hoop that you may throw over one other person. That hoop is a character connection. If we want to go in that way, and the two of you will sort of can talk it out, and if you like, I can get inspiration by drawing a card. Okay, so I'm gonna start. If Krimsin, do you want to go first?
I can, sure.
Right.
And it's not gonna be the one you think.
Okay.
I'm thinking a connection with Tamsin.
Okay.
If Tamsin is out on the streets and stuff trying to find people who saw crimes happen and stuff like that, then initially we probably would have seen each other at the coffee shop, but then while she was out actually looking into crimes one time, she actually started talking to me about it because she saw me at the scene of one of them. And since I am always outside and always have my eyes open trying to keep myself safe and stuff, we've talked about stuff that's happened around.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, actually. You read my mind. Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That works. And
I think, yeah. I mean, just as a little flavor, I think Tamsin would be quite impressed by how confidently Katrina puts herself, even though she sees all this stuff, but she's still interested in music and she's still got her passions, and yeah.
That works nicely. Cool. Awesome. So I'm going to give the next hoop to Tamsin. As we start this conga line of humanity, as it were, and whom would you like to choose for your next connection?
I think the one that came to mind first was Cal, and the death. I would be all over that, and so eventually I'd talk to them, and I'd see them in the coffee shop as well. So
yeah, probably talk first because of whatever interview you might have, and then just friendly saying hi and such every time you saw each other.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that that Cal gets the next hoop, basically. So we have so given the way math works, I think the recommendation is to probably toss it to Tyler, but you do not have to. What do you want to do?
I was thinking about Tyler because I feel like since Tyler might accidentally come in on a day that he can't focus, they probably distract himself with talking to other people or something, and I just might be someone who, if sitting alone, would be willing to talk to others.
I was actually thinking like a similar thing, that Tyler, because he has so much uncertainty in his life, would be just very tempted to get some sort of like a tarot reading.
Exactly.
Nice. I love it. Okay. Awesome. All right. And then finally, so Shade, again, if we want to follow the way of mathematics, then this would probably go to Katrina, but if you have another idea, then that's also fine.
No, I think it's cool. I think Tyler would notice Katrina performing on the open mic, and
True.
I don't know, it could be dependent on the performance. It could be like a round of applause, or just like, oh damn, again, it's like distracting music. So
well, and also, I mean, you've got this whole app you're working on, which is supposed to be
oh, that's true.
yeah.
I could ask as well what Katrina thinks about this app, and probably get something similar.
Yeah, I mean, it's both. It's probably how Katrina came to your attention is because you saw the performance at the coffee house, and so then it's like talk about the app, and then
yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
I guess your feedback would be as well like very doubtful about how the thing, and we probably could just discuss it, like why I think it would work, why.
Well, honestly, with this character, I don't think she would necessarily tell someone that could potentially overpower her in a situation that their idea is bad, even though she believes it's bad, because she doesn't understand how you could potentially sort songs by the meaning of them. Like, that doesn't really, like, it's a great idea, but it doesn't really feel like it's possible. I don't think she would let you know that, and I think she would kind of just be like, yeah, sure, that's cool. Just just acquaintance. I don't think that like we're friends yet, but we're like acquainted.
All right. Well, I guess Tyler would be like, we'll take it as just a positive, like, positive vibe. Like, okay, that's actually, so she thinks that it's a good idea too. Oh, well, great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these all actually sound pretty good. I think that we're probably in a good spot with them. Did anyone want further definition, or do we feel pretty good about this the way we have it?
I like it, but a bit of random can always be fun.
Ace, if you'd like, I can draw a card from here. For one of your which one of your relationships do you want me to draw? Do you want it for Tamsin or Tyler?
I feel like Tamsin would be more of a wild card relationship based on how we've met.
Okay. So you want me to draw it for your relationship with Tamsin? Okay. All right. I'm going to draw a card now, and we will see what happens. Okay. Let me see. Just double checking a note real quick. Okay. Let me see here. Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. So we have a thing that we have a positive or a negative possibility. A thing Actually, they're okay. We have either a shared, and actually, the funny thing is, let's not even address it like positive or negative, because there are positive and negative aspects to both of these. We either have a shared failure of some kind that brought you closer together, or we have envy and having trouble hiding that. So, which of those two would you like to play with?
Honestly, both are interesting. Do you have anything that sticks out to you more?
I think the shared failure, maybe, but it depends.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've got 9 of cups here. Yeah, if you want, I'll read it out to you, and you can tell me how this sounds. You shared an epic failure with so Cal shared an epic failure with Tamsin, but it brought you closer. And what was that epic failure? That's what that question is.
I have an idea. You couldn't figure out how exactly my friend died.
Yeah.
And it brought it closer because you're trying to look for more clues, and we just became friends that way, or something like that.
I mean, I remember you said you didn't really want to look into it, right? So maybe at first we weren't that like you felt like I was annoying you, kind of, that you wanted to, but then as I told you why I was trying to figure it out, and then we kind of got closer through that. Yeah, that'd be cool.
So basically, my failure was failure to not tell her, and her failure was to figure it out all the way.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah, cool. No, that sounds good. So, then, is everyone else good, or do we want any more details? I think we're good.
I think I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Excellent. So, my last question here. So, is one that actually is sort of informed by the questions that came before, where I'm trying to assess if anyone's had the occasion to all meet or do something as a group probably at the coffee house. So it could be like venue events, roundtable discussions, or chatting, that kind of thing. If we want something like that, we don't have to have something like that, but we can if we wish. So do we want something like that, or do we want to leave things kind of where they are?
I think it's good to leave things a bit open so that maybe we can see. Maybe it's just like the start of us getting together, kind of thing. Like,
yeah,
it's not.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, with how our characters are all set up, I kind of want to be able to role play what our individual relationships are like before we meet in as a group. Not necessarily before, but like at least have the individual stuff going on and then also have the group stuff going on, because the dynamics at play between the different people in this feel like they're going to be completely different depending on the pairing, judging from the characters.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Takuma.
You're muted, Jim.
Oh, your sound just disappeared.
Yes, there we go. No, that sounds good. I'm back. I'm sorry. I have a little button I pressed on the mic, and I forgot that I press it sometimes. Everyone go check out Takuma. It's a delightful game. Well, a game enhancer, I should say, specifically. It's Golden Lasso Games is the publisher. That's Kimmy's company that she does. I'll go ahead and I will post it. I will post it here in the chat so folks may go check that out. Okay, so we're getting close to the end now.
The end is near.
The end is near. I just have a couple more questions. Yeah, I had a few more written down that I was sort of our contingency if we don't, but I think we've gotten enough information from what we've been talking about already to answer most of those. So this can be, if we want to add a tiny bit more of a sort of a supernatural prompt here. Yes, everyone is in this state of being awake with a capital A.
Mm-hmm.
What is one strange thing you have either heard about or witnessed recently? Whether you believe it's real or not. Some glimpse of the world of nightmares that has come to you. And
by the way, I just wanted to double check. Like,
yes.
So our characters are physically, like, they never sleep since quite a while, actually.
It's different for everybody. Some people have stayed up for. In the other narrative, someone has once mentioned they stayed up for months. Which, if you don't do that in real life, by the way.
No.
Yeah, that's very bad. Yeah.
Your body will legitimately shut down if you try to stay awake for more than like a week.
Exactly.
Like you will die.
Yes.
Like...
Yes. So in real life, don't stay up for that line. I mean, even once you get past 3 days, things start getting, can get untenable for you. So
I've been there.
Yeah. Me, I sleep every night, just not for very long. But anyway, so one thing that but in this fictional world, one thing that so yes, it's basically, so your character in this fictional world could have been up for a very long time because we have a supernatural effect going on. So yeah, so it can have been a while. So, who wants to say first one thing they've either heard about, one strange thing they've either heard about or witnessed in some way recently?
Can it involve the other characters?
If they consent to that.
Yeah, I think something that would be interesting if Krimsin is cool with it is that I've heard about Katrina's energy manipulation. Like, I just heard or felt it or something like.
Oh, I see. So something that, that's simple. Sorry, go ahead.
Honestly, I was going to say that's completely fine by me. I don't think she's hiding it. I think she's just like out there using it while she's performing. And like every time she performs, she doesn't necessarily tap into it, but every time she gets a crowd going, she does tap into it. So she can try to like manipulate people's energy into being more giving, more in awe. That way she can actually make some money.
Yeah,
since my character talent is a higher perception, they might have noticed that easier coming from her.
Yeah, I think that for Cal, it might be easier to notice, in fact, being someone who's awake, with a capital A. But the thing I was actually getting at, I should point out, is this is if we want to add something to the narrative. Also, so this is your GM fishing for prompts. So if there's anything else we can go with that, but if there's anything else you'd like to introduce, you may.
Yeah, I actually do have an idea there. I'm thinking that Katrina has definitely in the park seen roiling masses of like energy, emotion, something floating across the park looking for people to attach themselves to.
Yes, excellent. Good. Cool. Excellent.
My idea would be I would have heard a bunch, but maybe there's like an area of the city or like a place that's people are like going kind of crazy, or like that something's happening to them, or that there's shadows, or like it's always night or something like that. Or something.
Interesting. So potentially might be referred to as like mass hallucinations because people don't know what's actually going on. Maybe something like that.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Interesting. Okay.
I got one idea about, so maybe in one of the evenings where Tyler was drinking whiskey and with coffee, mixed with coffee, and listening to some blues music.
Mm-hmm.
So this radio kind of, he got some static noise, and then it still kept playing the same music, but maybe he heard like the voice, the singer, the voice changed to Elia instead. And when he came to check what's going on with this radio, so I started tapping on it, he noticed that in the window, everything is like totally black. And just when he blinked, it all kind of got to normal. So he wasn't sure if it was real or not.
Excellent. Good.
I feel like this might actually go into my insomnia thing, just because it sounds cool, but every time a character closes their eyes for more than a couple seconds, they might hear a voice saying, "You can't run from what you've done."
Cal hears the voice saying, "You can't run from what you've done." When they close their eyes.
And if this was a comedy thing, then you probably hear, "Damn, I forgot that rhyme."
Oh, that's fair. Well, there are ways. There are ways of playing with that. Interesting. Very cool. Okay, I like this a lot. Also, funnily enough, in the last, this wasn't streamed, but in the last, I've run 2 short campaigns of Don't Rest Your Head over the last couple of years that were not streamed. And I think it was in the last one we did establish, one of the last ones we did establish that the Mad City has a radio station. And other things. But there's a whole thing. We'll get into it. Okay, excellent. Let's see, what do we have left? I think I may have one last question just to address somewhat the fears of the characters to an extent. Actually, before I ask that, just because I want to make sure I did this, because I didn't write this down apparently. Ace, did I ask what Cal's exhaustion talent is?
The heightened perception thing that I explained before.
Heightened perception. Okay, you did explain. Okay, cool. All right, I just wanted to make sure because for some reason I didn't put it on the spreadsheet. But I get distracted sometimes. Aha. Excellent. Lovely. Also, awesome guitar game, by the way. Very good. It's very cool.
Oh. Yeah, I'm just trying to play quietly.
Oh no, it's great.
It's just the thing that I do because
no need to apologize.
If I don't have my hands doing something, my mind wanders away. Like, what could I be doing?
Understandable.
Right now? So
absolutely understandable.
It helps me focus.
Honestly, same thing. That's why I've been drawing while doing this.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. This is why my eyes go all over the place, by the way, sometimes while I'm talking to folks, because that happens to me a lot too when mostly I play with the computer a little bit. But the one question I have left for folks to answer is a question that I'm stealing from Urban Shadows, actually, that turns up on a particular move. And this is for your character. what do you worry might happen? In other words, is there something your character wants to avoid? A specific thing that your character is trying to avoid. Now, it's that has been a particular concern of late. And again, folks, if you have an answer, just feel free to speak up.
I would say my character does have a specific thing, but for right now, because I would like to keep it a secret for suspense for the audience, I will not say it out loud.
Okay, I know what it is. And the other players know what it is. But that may become revealed. That may become revealed. I will write a thing down. There we go. It's now written down. Okay, cool. Okay, does anyone else have a thing that their character wants to avoid? Or is
I
afraid it might
guess.
happen?
Yeah, I guess meeting Elia and Craig in person, like randomly on the street somewhere.
Yes. Okay. Cool.
All right, hear me out.
Okay.
What my character actually wants to avoid is comfort. They don't want to fall asleep. They don't want to be in a place where they can be comfortable, because they feel like if they get comfortable and fall asleep and actually get good sleep for once, then everything they have and everything they are will be ripped away from them. Especially with all of these abilities opening up to them.
Yeah.
They're terrified of losing these abilities.
I love that. That's great. That is awesome.
My kind of idea is similar. It's just that she doesn't want to deal with the realities of going to sleep and like trying to deal with the problems that she has. She just wants to get over it. So she's avoiding her problems. Yeah. She's trying to avoid her problems.
Yes. Excellent. Let me just write a thing down also that I have just seen that I need to make a note of real quick. We have is it okay for me to say this part?
Yeah, of course.
We have a name for the friend.
To say it out loud while everyone is doing
Oh,
that.
sure. No, absolutely. The friend's name is Xavier Gray. Excellent. All right. Cool. All right. That is everything I have for us for this session. We
did it.
Yay! Ooh.
What is it?
Notes.
I made like a little character sheet.
Wow, looking
I love
cool.
I wrote absolutely nothing down.
I mean, honestly, I typically just take names and stuff like that down. I don't want my character to like know all of your backstories. I think it would be more interesting to explore that. So I intentionally don't take those notes, but I do have a pretty decently strong memory as long as I can get my ADHD to cooperate. So
Oh, you're lucky. I have a terrible memory. That's why I have to write everything down.
Oof.
fair.
Yeah. Understandable. All right, cool. Is there anything that we've touched on, or anything that anyone had any questions about, or did anyone have any questions about other characters or anything?
think we're good. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
I think that we
Yeah.
got this set up pretty well, and I'm really looking forward to playing with
Me
y'all.
too.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
exciting.
All
Mhm.
right. Excellent. So that being the case, we're going to go ahead and do our outros. We're going to go around and feel free to tell folks where they can find you. Feel free to plug whatever you like. And any final thoughts you may have about this setup or things you're looking forward to or whatever you like. And we're going to start. We're going to go reverse order, so we're starting with Cassa.
Mhm.
Hello, I'm Cassa, wilding _ on Twitter, where I just, retweet pretty dice and tell you where I'm playing. Upcoming next week, Wednesday, I'm on High Shelf Collective playing Cyberpunk Red. I'm also doing Locust on Thursday. It's the last episode, so things are gonna happen. I don't know. It's spooky, and and then next week I'm here. And yeah, I'm really excited. I've only done it once, but world building with Jim is super fun, and everyone here seems really interesting, and I want to see what everyone's got to bring to the table. So I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Yay. Me too. And yes, we're going to be picking this back up. Actually, it's going to be in 2 weeks, just so folks may recall, because there's stuff next week that I got to deal with. But we're going to go ahead now and move on to Shade.
So yeah, I'm really excited to be here. That's the first time I'll be playing and stream. Well, I'll see you in 2 weeks when some dark and horrible events will take place. Yeah, look forward to it.
Awesome. And did you have anything to plug, or are we good?
No, we're good.
We good? All right. Cool. And over to Ace.
Hey, I'm Ace. I'm not really on any socials, so I don't really have anything to plug there. And I'm just excited to play with everyone. Horror is always fun to play out.
Yes. Excellent. Very much looking forward to this. And finally, over to Krimsin.
And here's where it gets complicated, because I'm in a lot. Hey y'all, I'm Crimson Galaxy. That's Krimsin, because I'm not me without a little bit of sin. I'm super looking forward to this game in a couple weeks. It seems like it's got some really cool mechanics built into it, and I like the character that I built to portray quite a lot. So I'm looking forward to interacting with this world. In addition to that, you can find me on Twitter at sin_gal, as it is in the chat. And as for the games that I have coming up over the course of these next 2 weeks off, on Sunday this week, I'm actually going to be appearing on the initiative order with a Monster of the Week Halloween one-shot. And that's actually going to be really cool. I'm playing the Flake, very heavy, hacker lesbian vibes. You know, that's pretty chill. Then on Tuesday the 1st, we'll be coming back with our second session of the Squid Menace, a 5e adventure over on Alec Azam's Twitch channel. On Wednesday, we'll finally be returning with our Tales from the Flood series. I believe this is going to be episode 13 of our Tales from the Flood campaign that we're working on. We've just had the last 2 or 3 weeks off, and that one's actually a really great, fun teenage horror show in itself. And then on Thursday, I'm going to be returning to the 3rd episode of a show called 12 over on Horde of Tales. Sorry, there's so many.
Feel free.
And then on Saturday, in addition with Ace, next Saturday, not tomorrow, we are going to be both appearing on a Lasers and Feelings Extra Life charity game over on the channel Valdrian. And I might be joining the game right after that as well, which will be some Morkborg, or Moriborg, as it's supposed to be pronounced. And then, yeah, I think that's all I'm going to run through, just through the next week, because I have like 3 or 4 more games because I have a bunch of bi-weekly games. But yeah.
Awesome, wonderful. Were there any other final thoughts you wanted to give, or are we good?
I think I'm good.
All right. Thank you so much for playing. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Thank you all very much. I'm excited for these characters. I'm very interested to see how things are going to turn out, and looking forward to the to entering the realm of nightmares. So we will see how this goes. Okay, and that leaves me. Who am I? Excellent question. As far as I'm aware, I'm Jim Ryan. You can find me at OtherDoc on both Twitch and Twitter. My website is jim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. I have links down below to my website, Twitter, YouTube channel, and various other things. Next week, I don't have any RPG streaming going on directly, as it turns out, because we've got... I originally had said that we were going to do the next session of the other group, the Story Alpha group, for Don't Rest Your Head on Monday, which is Halloween. But turns out, actually, we can't do that because we had some conflict, so it's going to be the week after that. So I'm thinking about possibly doing a watch-along hangout thing, maybe for some of those old movies I like to talk about, the silent films. I am considering. It's been a while since I've seen Nosferatu. I may actually find it may be time to watch Nosferatu again. So we'll see. I'll make announcements of some kind if that happens. But aside from that, it's just going to be probably video games next week. I have on alternate Thursdays, so it'll be the Thursday next week, hopefully. My friend Lucci comes over, and we over to the channel, and we play old text adventure games. We are currently working our way through Zork 2. We're sort of getting those going, and it's been a delight so far, and I'm just looking forward to picking that up and trying to bang our heads against the walls to try to figure out what some of the puzzles we're dealing with. We found something in a well, and our brains just froze for a while, and hopefully they'll thaw out for this. What we've got coming up on this channel, as we get into early November, probably like around the second week of November, we should have Cult coming back, hopefully, as we're down to doing that every 2 weeks. And Hollow's been running an excellent campaign, terrifying campaign, of that Cult Divinity Lost. Hopefully we'll be back on the 8th, if we can manage it. Real life's been getting in the way, sadly, recently. Our Dune game is going to be coming back on Wednesday the 9th. And that's when we start our first RP session and finally dig in. We had our session 0 on the stream here, and very much looking forward to getting into that. And of course, both of the Don't Rest Your Head groups will be coming back that week as well. Monday the 7th, Friday the 11th. Groups, Stories Alpha and Omega, as I'm calling them right now anyway, until I think of something better. And very much looking forward to it. I'm very excited. I really want to see where all this goes. So very much looking forward to that. I do also actually have a charity game I'm going to be playing in on the more than a week from today on the morning of the 5th, also on Valdrian's channel. I believe it's doing stuff for Extra Life.
Same day.
That I believe is going to be Marlowe running Morkborg. How did we say it again? Morkborg.
Morkborg or Moriborg.
Moriborg. I have never played it before, but I am curious. And so,
it is a very, very brutal system that wants you dead.
Ah, yes. And I've seen it play. I saw an actual play of it not too long ago, and I was like, you know what? I might actually be interested in this. So curious to get into that. And so that'll be happening that morning, probably around like 11 a.m. Eastern, I think is when that is for me. So that's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Wait.
At least that's according to what I last remember. I have to look at the thing.
Yeah.
Um,
From here, that's 8. Yeah, I know you're right. That'll start at 11 a.m. for you.
Okay.
So that will be before the Lasers and Feelings game. But I think I'm going to jump into that because y'all had 2 people drop out.
Yeah,
so I'm jumping in.
Yeah. Definitely had that happen. Yeah, so totally, absolutely. Awesome. That'll be very, very cool then. Excellent. Okay. So that's where I'm at. In the meantime, let's see. When we go to the end card, I'm probably going to try to send a raid over to Play Cancer Away. If they're permitting raids right now, I think they are. Which it's very good cause, standing up for cancer. Standing up for cancer. Great. Stand up to cancer. Stand up for cancer victims. They're playing For the Queen right now, which is an awesome game that I enjoy quite a lot. So we're going to go over there and say hi to them. Feel free to hang on if you're so inclined and say hi to them with us. That, again, will be when we hit the end card. In the meantime, folks, thank you all very much for watching. Take care, and we will catch you next time. Farewell.